Hello there, everybody, and welcome along to round 4 of 8 of the 2018 International Touring Cup season. And today is a very special day. We are going to be hitting 150 races in the International Touring Cup's history, and where better to hit that milestone than one of the legendary British tracks of the past, and indeed still of today. It's Brands Hatch. We are running the full Grand Prix layout, as it really should be done. And with the tyre wear question popping up once again, and with a lot to cover after a missed broadcast from Misano, there's going to be plenty for you guys to watch and listen throughout the next hour and a half to 2 hours or so. I'm James Kirk. On cameras, broadcasting to you is once again Argo Tida. And back alongside me, where he really should be in the commentary box, is Mr. Stefan McCready. Stefan, how have you been?
I'm good. Evening all. It's been a long week, so I'm looking forward to some ITC action.
Now, you catch us at the beginning of qualifying, so you'll be watching some cars going around, and we will be updating you with a couple of times here and there. But let's quickly go over the happenings from last time out in Misano. Of course, we apologise for no broadcast. Things beyond our control basically caused that one. But the long and short of it is, interesting 3 races. Very entertaining to watch, but there were a lot of struggles in trying to find overtakes. And in trying to find overtakes, there were a couple of drivers who went a little bit beyond the call and picked up a penalty or 2. Big incident in race 1. It was Yojovski and Keithley going for the win. Ultimately, Keithley punting Yojovski round. Keithley won on track. He lost the win after the DC judged it to be his fault, that incident. And so Adrian Campfield actually picked up YDF1's first win since 2015, Eric Strana. Race 2 saw Kevin Siggy Rebenak become the first 2 times race winner this season. And in race 3, Rowan GP have picked up a little bit of a star. They picked up Nico Barclay, one of the stars of World GT. He was in ITC 2016. He did pick up a podium then. He picked up the race 3 win when it came to Misano. So all of a sudden, Rowan GP are out of the relegation places in what has really spiced up the team's championship, now being led by ACR Zach Speed. Despite that penalty, Keithley got 7-7-7, and his teammate Butcher picked up 2 podiums in races 1 and 2. So they now lead ahead of Epic Racing, ahead of Enterprise GP. And in the Drivers' Championship, it is Kevin Siggy who leads. He's got a 10-point gap over Chris Butcher, Matt Richards, Chris Shepherd. They're still watching brief. And then it's a few points back to Niels Brugman, who rounds out the top 5. And so, all in all, Stefan, it's pretty much business as usual. Couple of incidents here and there, but the championship remains as tight as ever.
Yeah, I think when you come to around 3 or 4, it tends to sort of settle down, doesn't it? The ITC, it's always a bit the same. Misano really wasn't much different. I think you're right, though. I think people were starting to take a couple more risks due to the nature of Misano. There's a couple of interesting opportunities here to do an overtake, so hopefully see a bit more overtaking that one would consider legitimate. But yeah, we'll see.
Now, we do have a couple of times on the board. It's Ben Willis ahead of Ronu Muru and James Wilson, who returns to the championship for the first time since last year. Aurora Motorsports, rather appropriately running a little bit more darker red and blue on their car in true patriotic fashion. James Wilson, actually a previous race winner in the season. He took a race win at the last round of 2017 in Brazil, but I'm sure he'll be disappointed there with a 1:30.250. Reminder, if you are new with us here in qualifying in the ITC in general, we run Super Pole over 15 minutes, so only 1 lap to do the business. And I'm just trying to take a little look at who is out on track and where on track they are, so that we can potentially catch a good lap. And so maybe I think we should go to Johan Lindberg in a similarly coloured now YDF1 to the Aurora. And we'll give you a little run around the Grand Prix circuit. But we're expecting the low 129s to be where pole position is found. Of course, we've got weight ballast as well. So those top 10 in the Drivers' Championship are going to be taking on board anything between 90 kilograms and 9 kilograms for David Fidek down in 10th. Although, actually, it's Gogo Baldi who's going to be in 10th. I'm looking at the wrong standings. Fidek took his win later, and due to GPVWC rules and shenanigans, the later win gives you priority. So, on board with Johan Lindberg then. coming down this long back straight and into one of the absolute tyre killers on this circuit, Paddock Hill Bend. I've sat right there on the side watching cars go around plenty of time, and it's in a short run down to the heavy braking zone, uphill as well of Druid, so you can brake a little bit later than perhaps you usually do. It's then a short burst down over to the other side of the track, going in towards Graham Hill Bend. And then we have the Cooper Straight. It's a slightly bendy straight, not much chance for slipstreaming because you've got to be on your toes around Surtees, a real elongated corner where you want to get on the power earlier than you can. Patience is priority in that particular section as we now head on to the real meat of the Grand Prix circuit. It's a burst down Pilgrim's Drop into the fast right-hander of Hawthorns, another one of the right-hand tyre killers around this circuit. And then it's a short burst into the slightly tighter complex of Westfield. We then drop down and move back up into Sheen Curve. It's another fast right-hander. You can kind of get the trend here as to which tyre is going to be under the most stress at the end of the 12-lap races coming up. Round Stirlings and heading towards Clearways and the Clark Curve. It's a deceptively simple track, Stefan. But you do have to be wary of your tyres because too much work around these corners and you're going to be overheating them, no doubt.
Oh, easily. It's such a quick but aggressive circuit. Tyres will be screaming in pain towards the end of the race, much like we were in round one, really, in a similar sort of nature to that. It is definitely a tyre killer. The only respite they get, really, is the hairpin. Apart from that, it's fairly RIP tyre wear sort of thing. So that'll be interesting and probably be a big factor in the 3 races we've got coming up.
Press F to pay respects. Everyone going with the soft tyres in qualifying, and to be fair, it's been the story after that round one that a lot of people have seen that in order to have the ultimate pace, even though Mike Bell actually proved that you could use the harder compound tyre to full effect in Poznan, honestly, it's better to go with the soft. Speaking of Lindbergh, he's actually gone on to provisional pole position, 500ths ahead of his teammate Adrian Campfield. So currently a very nice and pretty picture for the YDF1 boys. Scott Cervic, who is now full-time at IDOS Motorsport, replacing Matt Clip, who has left the team and has dropped down to Division 2. The Norwegians slotting there into P3. Still waiting for a lot of the front runners, though. And honestly, it's going to be Niels Brugman and Mike Bell coming around the track now, who are going to be setting our first real prospective provisional pole time. In fact, Mike Bell really hugging the inside wall there. Let's see where the Englishman goes. Only P6 for Mike Bell. He will be disappointed with that. We now look to Niels Brugman, who was most certainly inside the top 10 at the end of practice.
Yeah, the times definitely have been much closer. We're expecting a very close, probably top 15 based on what we saw in practice as well. So people to probably keep an eye on: Siggy, probably Richards as well. Definitely those 2 are ones to look out for. We've got Siggy on an outlap strand joining him as well. So it's about to get pretty tasty.
To be fair, Richards as well did an incredible job to take pole position in Misano, despite having a buttload of weight ballast in the back of his MG for sure. It's only Richards and Strana with pole positions this year. But Richards again has been looking strong today. Baldy has been looking strong today, most certainly. He had a really poor round out in Misano, which has seen him drop right down to 10th position. I was actually looking at the standings now, and Mike Bell's the first person outside of the top 10 to be in that championship, so no weight ballast on that car. He will be disappointed with P6. Niels Brugman, though, comes across the line, and that is provisional pole position, but only just shy of a 10th of a second.
Yeah, cutting it close. It was a pretty clean lap, to be fair to him. So this just shows how close this is. Even a good lap will, it may not even be good enough for pole, and that's just how close Brands actually is in its nature. Quick circuit, pretty basic layout, as you said. So times will be close. Best keep an eye on it.
Right, so next across the line is Eric Strana. He was, oh my goodness, not present with us in Misano. 4-wheel drifting down Paddock Hill Bend. It looks spectacular, but he is going to be losing a heap of time as he now heads through Druids. As I say, took pole position, what was now 2 rounds ago. I'm forgetting where we went. It was France. There we go. He took pole position in France. And actually, one of these guys that, despite being the 2014 and 2015 Drivers' Champion, Stefan, doesn't really need to rely on qualifying. If I get my handy stats sheet up, there we go, nice and cheeky, super late in the day as well. Finally, there we go. He's only taken 3 pole positions in the... I should have said how many rounds he's been in. Basically, he's raced 98 races, so that should give you a decent idea. He's taken part in a lot of ITC rounds. Only 3 pole positions in that, as opposed to the 23 podiums and 19 race wins that he's picked up in his career, and of course the 2 championships. So definitely one of the men on this grid, Stefan, that can show you don't have to be all that in qualifying if you want success.
Yeah, the guy's pretty nuts when it comes to overtaking. If he's going to overtake you, he'll make sure to do it. He's very good at climbing the grid. We saw it in Poland as well. First round, I think it was the race 3 in Poland. It was crazy what he could do. Just overtaking cars left, right, and centre. So the guy doesn't really value pole position. He's had a pretty mad and scruffy lap here, to be fair. But so yeah, we'll see what he can do.
It looked like the total polar opposite of Brugman's effort, but he managed to stick it within 1500ths of a second.
I don't really understand that. I don't get that.
Neither do I. That's crazy. I think maybe Niels Brugman has more weight on board the car. Indeed, Niels Brugman 5th in the championship. Strana not even inside the top 10. So Strana with no weight ballast. And both of them have been deposed, by the way, because now Kevin Siggy Rebenak has popped up 600ths ahead of Niels Brugman. Kevin Siggy Rebenak, the first man to take 2 wins. He's taken 2 podiums this season as well. Looking for his first pole position is our championship leader. And actually, speaking of championship leaders, one time it was Matt Richards, as Nico Barkley there pops up into P2. Brilliant effort there from the Rowan GP driver, who's dragging this team out from the relegation battle. I will be looking to do a quick article, mid-season article, by the way, to reflect on what I was saying pre-season and just how wrong I was. Matt Richards mounting clearways and heading towards the line now. Let's see where the Welshman can go. Can he upset the apple cart, so to speak? The answer is yes, he absolutely can. 9/10 of a second clear of Kevin Siggy. What on earth did he eat for breakfast today?
I'm sorry, but you can get in the bin with that. Seriously, what?
What? Look at Rob Mason. Rob Mason up in P3 for Epic. I didn't even notice that he was replacing Chris Shepherd, of which Chris Shepherd goes into P2 on a 1:28.795. But wow, that's a stunner.
I mean, I caught bits of the lap thinking, oh, this is looking quick. And we were thinking, what, low 29s? Not a 1:28.6. That's pretty special.
Nuyovsky as well makes it 3 new people ramming their way into the top 3. Nuyovsky with a 1:29.2. He did pick up a podium in race 3 last time out in Misano, but will certainly be feeling aggrieved at losing on the victory in race 1. So the question is now, who on earth can challenge for pole position? I'd say if it's anyone, it would probably be Gergo Baldi, and actually he's on his hot lap now. Let's see where the Hungarian places himself. Only P4.
It's very close. I mean, Chris Shepherd was the closest one to even coming close to that time. So yeah, it's pretty much as we expected, close qualifying, but Matt Richards and Chris really pulling out of the bag.
Patel only goes P14. Oh, Chris Butcher mounting the grass as our qualifying timing comes to an end. Where does Chris Butcher go? Chris Butcher only P18. Would you believe it? Disaster for the English driver. And who else is there still to come? Adam Taylor, maybe? Oh, Stefan Ruolt, who's going to be... I didn't even realise Ruolt was running P21, so no Jack Keithley here today. So it's now down to Taylor and Olsen to see whether they can even post a 1:28. It guarantees them a top 5 if they do.
Tobias has been looking fairly aggressive on this lap, so he is giving it the beans. See how he does, takes the final corner.
Oh, it is beanful, isn't it? Oh,
it is beanful.
Go on the outside.
The grass.
Let's see, the Swedish driver places himself P5. That's not bad at all. And what about Adam Taylor then? Also just making his way through clearways now. Around the final corners, he had an eventful Misano as well. We saw him do somersaults across curbs. And the Englishman, oh, that is a beautiful effort. P2 on the grid for the ex-Vodball driver. But no one able to best Matt Richards, who picks up his second pole position in 2 rounds, his third of the season, and all of that, may I remind you, with, let me get the exact weight ballast and thingies. I've lost it. There it is. 57 kilograms of weight ballast on board that car, and he still took pole position.
It was a banging lap. You can't discredit that. That was an incredible effort from Matt. With that amount of weight as well, it was pretty darn nice. Adam cutting it really, really close in the end. I mean, we're only talking 100th of a second here, but no, that was a really good effort.
It swings and roundabouts as well, though, because 2 weeks ago was very much the round of ACR. 4 weeks ago, very much the round of Epic Racing. Back even in Poznan, it was the round of Edge Racing, and I'm looking at that top 10, and I'm looking at Adonis Engineering. They have had a very underwhelming campaign so far. They lost Arnie Schoenfly to quit the championship. They've brought Adam Taylor in, a great replacement, I'd say, as well. Is this the day when Adonis bounce back?
Potentially. I mean, you've always put a good bet in Adam Taylor
hello.
pulling something out of the bag, and I think we've got some news around Matt Richards' lap.
Yeah, so it looks like he cut, but he's choosing to stick with it. What that does mean is that he's going to take a 20-slot grid penalty for the next round. But I think, given the nature of Brands Hatch, given the fact that he's got pole position, you might as well take the pole position now. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think there's a couple of overtaking opportunities on this circuit, not too many. So, yeah.
I also noticed there are a host of drivers with 20-place grid penalties from last time out in Mazzana as well. Unfortunately, Taylor and Yuyovsky are 2 of them. so it might not quite be the round of Adonis. Who else? So Lewis McGlade has a 20-place. Campfield as well has a 20-place. And from the drivers who are present, I think that is it. Jack Keithley, not here. I wonder whether that is being protected by the team, whether that's him quitting, or whether he's just busy. Because that could be any of the 3, especially after a round like Mazzano.
Yep. He had an adventurous round, I believe is the polite way of putting it. I've not seen the particular terms as to why he's not here. I'm sure we'll get clarification should he come back. But no, I think if it is a case of protection, maybe it's worthwhile doing. Calm it down. But who knows, really? We've not had any news around it. Unless we've missed it.
Unless we've missed it.
Let us know.
Absolutely. A lot of hype surrounding Keithley as well, so maybe good to take him out of the limelight. So let's try and figure out this grid for race 1. So it's going to be Matt Richards along with Chris Shepherd on the front row. So that's going to be P3 and P4 in the championship. On the second row is going to be Baldy and Olsen, and then it's going to be championship leader Kevin Siggy and Rob Mason. That is a cracking effort from Rob, by the way, replacing David Fidek. I'd assume only for this round, because Fidek has taken a win this season. He had a poor round out in Mazzano, but he's certainly shown that he can compete up at the top of things this time around. Rob Mason, he's been in and out of this championship a few times. He's always popped up in the lower side of the point scoring positions, though, Stefan. To get P8 in qualifying, he's going to start P6 on the grid, if I remember correctly. That's arguably one of his best qualifying sessions ever.
Yeah, I think Robbie's is quite reliable. He knows his touring cars quite well. He did a lot of BBTCC over at WSR, so he knows touring cars. So if you're ever after a dependable driver for touring cars, Rob Mason's usually a good bet. But no, it was a really good effort to get him up to P6. I think if we're correct on that one.
Yeah, so he qualified gate, but he's going to start P6.
2 positions, yeah. So that works really nicely for him. He's quick, and considering the highly tense and competitive nature of Division 1 this year, to come in and do that it's good going.
Absolutely. And so, of course, after this half of the season, or after Brands Hatch is done, we move into the slightly more exotic part of the season, because we've now, our European tour ends here, and we move further abroad. I'm just trying to rejoin the server as we speak, because I had a nasty little disconnect.
Is that a disconnect, James?
Yeah, it's rare these days, I realise, but I have to deal with them now and again. Right, so second half of the season, we first of all go to China and Zhuhai International Circuit. That's going to be a big one for the cars with top line speed. We then go to Japan and Okayama, Brazil and Curitiba, and then we finish our season in the United States of America at Virginia International Raceway. So once again, a real myriad of tracks, Stefan, which are going to test each of these cars' different attributes.
It's great. Most of these circuits we very rarely see used at all, especially Curitiba, which is not very featured at all. So that would be a really interesting one to go to.
Nice break from Interlagos.
Yes, it is. No, it's nice to go somewhere else. Zhuhai is going to be top speed central. So if you've got that, you're in a good place. Virginia's going to be an interesting little challenge as well. Not really acquainted with touring cars, so that'll be a really interesting season finale.
Interestingly, hope clean.
Well, yeah. It's the last round though, James. We know what ITC can do in the last round.
The exciting thing for me, Stefan, is that we genuinely don't know what sort of situation either championship is going to be in once we get to that stage, because the pendulum swings it's not even to and fro, it's to, fro, that way, this way, to the second sun on the right. It's all over the place. You've got about 7 teams maybe who could win the teams championship. Anyone can have a good round and pick up a maximum of 75 points over the course of an event. I love this championship because of those close battles, but this year in particular, especially when you have some drivers missing rounds, like your Stranas, like your Keithleys, it ensures that nobody's really safe, and you've got to bring your A game to every round.
Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, right, because of the way this works and the fact we've still got 4 rounds, with 3 races, if you find form in the second half of the season, you're still in with a shout at the championship just because of how many races you can pick up points for. So yeah, it really does keep the championship quite wide open till the last, as we have seen consistently with this series. So it definitely, you're right, you do need to bring your A game to literally every race of the season if you want a chance at the title.
So, race 1. Matt Richards, we know that he cut. And so a little bit of sheen can be taken off that pole position, but doesn't belay the fact that he's still a mighty strong touring car driver. It doesn't belay the fact that he's one of the championship favourites going into this round. But the question is, when you consider the 3 people around him, which includes not just Chris Shepherd, of course, but someone like Gurgabaldi with 9 kilograms of weight ballast, is he the favourite going into this race still, or do we think that it is going to be someone from further back, maybe even a Siggy character? I mean, he's got 90 kilograms on board the car, but he also has a rear-wheel drive that could serve him very well at the beginning.
It'd be interesting for Matt. I think what Matt needs is a couple of really decent first laps just to start bridging a gap. Matt's probably one of the more experienced guys around here because of his commitments with British Touring Car Championship stuff.
Oh, you mean around the track as opposed to... I mean, he is in general as well, but around brands.
Around brands, he's got probably more experience than most on here,
yeah,
competition-wise. So I'd say it's a good favourite, but I wouldn't write off anyone within the top 5 or 6 to win this race. A lot can happen.
Extend it to the top 10. Why not?
Why not? Anything can happen in this. This is the incredible thing. It's really difficult to put a prediction on the race win, and that's the way we like it.
Let us know who you think is going to win in YouTube chat. We do gander over from now and again. Is it going to be someone with weight ballast? Is it not? Is it going to be a rear-wheel drive? I can guarantee you that the R-Factor 2 man doesn't know either, but he does know what to say to let the drivers know that they're coming out on track. So we have 12 laps ahead of us here in race 1 of 3 this evening. Race 2, the grid is decided by the finishing order in race number 1. And race number 3, of course, has that devilish reverse grid of a randomly selected number between 10 and 15. That's always the one that seems to kick off as well, but it also springs the most surprises in terms of the podium sitters. So even if you're not having a great day at the office in race 1 and race 2, being in those prime positions in race number 2, like 10th to 15th, that might very well guarantee you a podium if the rest of the field is squabbling behind you in race number 3. But let's get back to where we are now, race number 1. And yeah, Siggy really the danger man in terms of the launch situation. I guess the good news for these front 4 is that it's not the longest run down to turn 1, and even at that, it's one of the more unusual turn 1s to try and navigate. It'll be a turn 1 that Matt Richards hopes to be leading into. He starts on pole position for Drake ahead of Chris Shepherd for Epic Racing in P2. It'll then be Gergo Baldi in P3 for Enterprise, with Tobias Olsen, already a race winner this year, along with the rest of the top 4 in P4. Kevin Seagull, championship leader with 90 kilograms of weight ballast, starts P5 with Rob Mason on his debut this season, starting P6 for Epic. Nico Barkley, the saviour of Rowan GP, starts P7. He picked up a win last time out in Mazana, remember. Niels Brockman for Enterprise starts P8, and the top 10 rounded out by Johan Lindberg for YDF1, and Scott Cervik putting an IDOS inside the top 10. That is a mighty fine effort indeed from the Norwegian. Mohamed Patel will start P11 for Edge, with Ranu Muru starting inside the top 15 for TTF Racing. Mike Bell's down in P13, ahead of his teammate Adam Pinches, both for Smart Power Racing. James Dawson is the lead of our Aurora Motorsports cars, making his first bow for the 2018 season in P15. Chris Butcher starting all the way down in P16 for ACR Zaxpeed, our current championship leaders, may I remind you. He's ahead of Jack Mayer. The smile sandwiched in between the two ACRs actually as Stefan Ruolt makes his bow in the championship, replacing Jack Keithley there. The top 20 is rounded out by Erhan Yoyovsky after taking a 20-place grid penalty. And then Pedro Delgado in a similar situation for Adonis Engineering and Racing Team Schroten, respectively. And rounding out our grid, the final 7 drivers, Eric Strana. He must have cut his lap if he's down this far. He starts P21, ahead of Ben Willis for Drake Racing P22. Tyrone Frith in P23 for TTF, Philip Morby for Racing Team Schroden in P24, Adrian Campfield in the, that is a YDF1 in P25, ahead of the very similarly liveried now Aurora Motorsports of Lewis McGlade in P26. The most experienced man on our grid, remember. He's not going to be reaching 150 races, but he has missed 1 round, so next round in Zhuhai, he's going to hit 150, I think. The grid rounded out by Adam Taylor, who was so close, yet so far to pole position had he not had that grid penalty.
Well done.
Thank you. I had a little bit of leeway there.
You did. But we'll ignore that. Here we go.
We're lining up onto the grid then. It's slightly banked. And generally more difficult starts for the guys on the inside, because they've got to climb the hill ever so slightly if they want to defend into turn 1.
Absolutely.
We'll see what sense that makes. Because you never know. That's the thing. You never know with ITC. We could have stallers. I doubt it, but we could have stallers. Anyway,
that would be insane.
That would be insane. It would also be incredibly dangerous.
Yes.
Red lights are blazing as we now look up to try and find the red lights. Illuminating above the drivers. I think someone not quite in position. It's a very long hold. Here they come now. We have 2, 3, 4, and 5. And here in the United Kingdom, we're racing here in the International Touring Cup, and it was a good start by Matt Richards. Chris Shepherd going to filter in behind, and Kevin Siggy there with the expected strong start up into P4. Nico Barkley as well has had a bit of a stormer. He's up the inside of Tobias Olsen into Padda Kilben, but as they make their way through, is going to be Olsen, who holds on to the inside for now through Druid, and Kevin Siggy trying to hold off Olsen, who's just trying to find his feet at this early stage after a poor launch. Mohamed Patel's had a decent start as well. He's up to P10, and Ruo as well, the Dutchman, making his way up into P15, and Butcher into P13 as well. So the ACRs moving their way up the order very nicely indeed. I don't see anyone, honestly, in too much trouble. Everyone's been very clean and very nice in the first half of this lap as we now head on to the bones, the meat. I've used meat and bones, whatever. It's the next part of this circuit, the Grand Prix variation, and Chris Shepherd immediately looking to put Matt Richards under a little bit of pressure, Stefan, as they head through this section.
Yeah, there was a really clean start from everyone. It's really easy to drag yourself into an accident in the first 2 corners, so well done for everyone on that. Matt got a perfect start, really, considering where he was. He's now just got to keep Chris Shepherd behind, who's looking to really push him. Matt looks to be pushing insanely hard to keep this lead ahead of Chris, but it all seems to starting to line up now, so everyone's going to start settling in now from here.
as they head down towards Clearways and the Clark Curve. Chris Shepherd just setting himself up into the slipstream, maybe move into turn 1, maybe considering something into Druids. We'll wait and see and find out as we end lap 1. It is Richards who remains in the lead from Shepherd, Baldy, Siggy, Olsen, Barkley, Mason, Rugman, Cervic and Patel rounding out the top 10. Tyres lighting up as they make their way down the hill, and at least for this rotation, Richards is safe. Richards is safe. Goodness me, that's a new one. Richards is safe into Druids. I went all Richard Connolly then. Goodness me.
It's a bit struggling there a bit.
Yeah,
it's an interesting one, isn't it?
My brain power is just, I can feel it melting away tonight.
That was incredible. Yeah.
It's like I had a stroke.
That was, yes. It sounded very similar to that. What is going on there? So Matt and Chris really keeping each other track. Chris seems much more relaxed and composed behind Matt at the moment, is what I'm noticing so far. So that will probably pay him quite well come near the end of the race. Everything seems fairly well behaved there. Got Chris Butcher and Mike Bell having a go at each other quite hard now.
Yeah, he had a solid round in Mazzano. He picked up another podium, but unfortunately race 3 was a non-score for him. What's really helping him out, actually, I noticed that Gergo Baldy's got a lot of company behind him. Kevin Siggy pushing, and especially with those rear-wheel drive, they're going to be a little bit easier on the tyres, so maybe the Austro-Slovenian has a little bit more ability to push in these early laps. Tobias Olsen also very close indeed as they head through Clark Curve for the second time of asking. Once again, Richards, I think he is pushing hard, but he needs to keep that advantage, otherwise Shepherd is absolutely going to bounce on that. It's going to be Baldy then, Siggy and Olsen falling in line astern. Nico Barkley in a world of his own there in P6. Mason still holding off Brugman, and then it's another gap back to Scott Cervic, who seems to have the rest of the ITC grid behind him. Patel, Pinches, Muru, Butcher, Bell, Ruel, all in close pursuit. And shout out to Adam Taylor as well. He started plumb last on the grid. He's already up to P16.
Yeah, he's climbing well. He's really profiting from this 4-5 car gaggle we seem to have between Adam Taylor and probably Lewis McGladen, and totally not a YTF1 confusing car. But those guys are really going hammer and tongs. I think we've seen a few bits of contact from them, so Adam Taylor really making use of that quite nicely.
Unfortunately, we've had our first retirement of the day. Tyrone Frith out in his home round as all. Tobias Olsen got, what was that? That was Hawthorne's incredibly wrong. And it means that he's fallen off the back of this battle for P3 now. I tell you what, we talk about Chris Shepherd pressuring Matt Richards, but Kevin Siggy has been nose to tail with Gergo Baldy for 3 laps almost now. I think his main problem is that straight line speed. As much as the tyre wear is better, the Subaru is not the best if you're trying to overtake after a long straight, and that's honestly one of the primary natures of this brand circuit. They have straights so that you can set yourself up. There's not many corners where you can look to go side by side and eke out advantages through there.
I can certainly speak from experience on this Levorg in that it's incredibly frustrating to overtake another car with it, purely because of its straight line and tank nature. It just doesn't pull as well as others, or maybe it should do.
Well, keep in mind, he's got 90 kilograms of weight ballast on board as well.
Well, yeah, the car weighs an absolute ton. So I wouldn't be surprised if Siggy ends up stuck behind Baldy for the whole race. But then I also wouldn't be surprised if Siggy really tries to attempt something audacious to get this done, because he needs to if he wants to keep up with Shepherd and Richards, who have seemingly got a 1-second gap now.
Behind, Olsen's starting to fall into the clutches of Nico Barkley, actually. After that mistake at Hawthorne's, he's not been able to recover, and so the Peruvian starting to work his way back into the reckoning. Mason's still holding Brugman behind him. And fair play to Scott Cervic. He didn't fancy his chances going into this championship. Remember, replacing Matt Clipp after a rather not-so-anonymous round 3, shall we say. As soon as we look to him, he makes a mistake, and Mohamed Patel is allowed a little bit of a sniff of that P9 position. But the Norwegian doing himself no harm whatsoever as he's into P8.
Rob Mason's just had an off.
What's happened to Rob, because he wasn't under any particularly big pressure from... Oh, yeah, he just completely lost it through the Sheen curve. That was no doing from Niels Brugman. And unfortunately, the Englishman forced to pit with suspension damage, it looks like. Yeah,
it looks like he got his rear right on the grass. And if you do that there, it will without hesitation, it will just send you round. There's pretty much nothing you can do when it does that. It was a really quite harsh spin, really. It was very aggressive.
And look at this, Scott Cervic, after defending well for so long, maybe Mason off-putting him a little bit, because not only has Patel made his way through into Druids, but Adam Pinches has rather opportunistically forced his way up the inside as well. And so Cervic drops 2 positions, 1 position, I guess, if you think about it overall, down to P10. Mohamed Patel up to P8 with Pinches up to P9. There's a move further down the order as well, as his Smile Power teammate, Mike Bell, moves his way past Raul Namuru into P12. It's a great scrap down here as well, involving the debutant Stefan Ruel and Adam Taylor now up to P15 as well. Watch out for Strana too. He's in P16 as Raul Namuru up the inside of Hawthorns. You do not see many moves around there, and look at that, Taylor up the inside of Ruel as well. Is he going to get this completed into Westfield, going side by side? Great racing between the two of them, and you know what? Adam Taylor's going to make it stick as well. He was in that team just a year ago. They dropped him for Jack Keithley, and he's making them pay.
He doesn't care, does he? He's going for it. That's incredible. Just as you were saying,
great move.
Starting to go for it, and just as we were saying, he's going for the same kind of move at Hawthorns. Adam Taylor's like, yep, I'm going to try and do the same and make it stick side by side. Great respect.
Barkley in?
Barkley in the pits. I wonder what's going on here. Has he got damage or his tyres?
He was nowhere. Like, he was in no man's land. It's drive-through.
Oh,
he might have jumped the start.
Either jump start or he's cut the circuit. That's interesting.
Very strange. Either way, that's Barkley down to P21. Right.
That's not what you need, really, in these kind of races.
And so that means that Niels Brugman has basically gained 2 positions out of people pitting ahead of him.
Yeah. Chris Shepard's having a serious look at Matt now. These guys are close.
Isn't he just? Yeah. And actually, Baldy and Siggy have kind of reeled themselves in just a little bit more into Hawthorne. You can see how defensive Matt Richards is forced to go here. Both of them on similar amounts of weight ballast, but Chris Shepard, I think with a little bit more, is it? I've forgotten their places in the championship already. This is great. And Google Chrome's crashed. Lovely stuff. Either way, the top 4, now, look at that. The top 4 covered by a second. It's getting close, and it is Matt Richards with marginally more weight, by the way. So this makes a little bit more sense.
Yes, it does. Yeah, it makes much more sense. But I'm starting to wonder whether Matt's early push with more weight at the start is starting to hinder him slightly, or whether he's trying to cool his tyres down, because they will be pretty damn hot now. But the fact that what I like, this is why I love ITC, and as Epic Racing rightfully pointed out on YouTube, 4 different cars, 4 different teams in the top 4.
Yeah.
Second, it's pretty crazy.
And 4 of the teams that are basically vying for this team's championship. Actually, Drave Racing in the worst of those positions, despite that Matt Richards is one of the championship protagonists. Unfortunately, it's the other side of the garage that's not really been pulling in the points. Epic has been here and there, definitely Chris Shepard, their leader. Baldy's actually been playing second fiddle to Niels Brugman for the majority of this championship, despite a good win in race 3 in Poznan. So he's looking to try and avenge himself. And of course, Kevin Sigirebanak, our current championship leader, part of the reason why Edge Esports were early leaders and have remained in this championship battle has been Patel, who's kind of fallen off the boil after a brilliant Poznan himself. So very different stories for each of these 4 drivers, very different cars for each of these 4 drivers, and Chris Shepard attempting to go around the outside of Westfield there. This might put him under a lot of pressure here from Gergo Baldy. Chris Shepard goes defensive, and here goes Kevin Sigirebanak. Well. Sees a little bit of an opportunity through the Sheen curves. He brings himself back here, and that's a great example, Stefan, of showing when one mistake comes out, it causes a domino effect for the cars behind. Yeah,
this is tactical racing now. You really have to be careful. Even looking for a move or trying to pressure the other guy puts you in a difficult position, as we've just seen with Shepard there.
P5, broken past Olsen.
Oh, yeah, he's made that.
Was that a mistake?
I wonder if I think
it was a mistake.
Tobias Olsen making a mistake in pretty much an identical place to Rob Mason.
Yeah, he went wide at Sheen curve, and then he went wide at Sterling's as well. So all of that advantage is gone. And Niels Brugman picks up yet another position without actually having to commit to a proper overtake. Yes. And I guess, yeah, it's one of the key factors of ITC. You've got to stay consistent, and if you stay consistent and out of trouble, then you're going to pick up points for free. Yeah,
absolutely. You have to be on your game.
Oh, hello.
Matt goes wide.
And this could be Chris Shepard through. Oh, and look at Siggy as well behind for P3. Two side-by-side potential situations as we head towards Hawthorns. Baldy ultimately comes out on top in that battle, but Chris Shepherd has done it. He has made his way through into the lead of this race.
That was. I think Chris has been planning out for the last couple of laps. Matt's been struggling through that exact corner. Chris has definitely been getting a better run, so I think he's pretty much worked out that's where he was going to do it. And he made it stick. A really good move, actually.
Oh, wow!
Oh, gee.
Good save from Gergo Baldy, but that could allow Kevin Siggy to go around the outside of Sterling. I mean, that was actually... yeah, you're telling me.
That's audacious.
Wow, well done.
Yeah, well saved. And then Siggy taking a brave, very optimistic view in a car that's probably got overheated tyres and a lot less grip, so that's nice. Siggy up to third. What can he do from third now, not being stuck behind Baldy?
I'd be worried about Baldy biting back, though. I was actually just about to say, out of the top four, I'd be tempted to put my money on Baldy simply by the fact that he's got at least 50 kilograms less on board his car than anyone else in that top four. However, he's just made that mistake and his tyres are surely going to be wrecked. They're not going to be as healthy as they were pre-slide. That was pretty aggressive, and the thing with front wheel drive is probably caned the throttle as well to keep it in a straight line, and so he may suffer in the last couple of laps. Tell you what, Matt Richards has not given up on this P1, has he?
No, he's still fighting for this.
Chris Shepherd forced to the inside here as we head through Hawthorns. Do watch out for Kevin Siggy Rebenak as well, who's following closely behind. You know what? Gergo Baldy has not been deterred. He has remained within a second, within 6/10 even, of P1. I think if the smart man would say, wait for the mistakes to come out now, because it's that 9 of 12, and surely all of the guys ahead of him. You think his tyres are going to be bad? These guys have been pushing 100% since lap 1.
Yeah, pretty much. Tyres are going to start coming into play here quite aggressively. The person, whilst he's got more weight, Siggy will be in a better position tyre-wear-wise here, whilst, you know, he's got more grip. But I suspect he's not going to be able to make it work. Matt Richards is still ragging the hell out of this MG to try and keep up.
We'll keep looking at this battle, but I do want to give fair dues to everyone else down the field. Mohamed Patel's made his way up to P7. The top 10 currently rounded out by Pinch's Butcher, who's made his way into the top 10. And then Strana, Bell's P11, and Adam Taylor, who had a strong start to the race, has started to fall off in these last couple of laps. He actually makes his way back past Mike Bell, or tries to at least, around the outside of Druids. It might be worth taking a little look. No, I think Mike Bell's going to hold on to that one. Indeed, he does. Muru, Servik, and Ruok currently rounding out the top 15, although Ben Willis on the precipice of the points here. The Englishman could be able to back up his teammate, who is battling for the lead and once again putting Chris Shepherd under all sorts of hell as they head through Hawthorns. Going to try and go around the outside. Are you kidding me? He's going to stick this in, and you know what? He's still there. Around the outside of Westfield, we're going to go now, and Shepherd steams in. That's going to be Matt Richards off the track, and that is going to be surely every one of those top 4 through apart from him. Richards shuffled to the back of the pack. Contact between himself and Shepherd the cause. As there goes Siggy down the inside of Sterling. And oh, that's contact as well. And is Baldy going to go on the inside? No, he's forced to check up on his brakes. And so Siggy Rebenak remains in P2. Baldy remains in P3. But look at Niels Brugman. He's come out of nowhere and now he's in this battle too.
Yeah, that was... Matt probably didn't do himself many favours though. He tried to turn into the apex when Chris was still there. So most of that was for Matt. It was ambitious. I appreciate it. It was great. But it probably done him very little in terms of favours. But for us action-wise... I mean... Sudden brought top 6, 7, 8 into play now.
I mean, yeah, Niels Brugman's the cool guy in school. He's brought 3 of his mates along as well. Olsen, Patel and Pinches have joined the party for the podium. Lap 11 of 12. If there's anybody's game as to how they're going to finish here, but for Chris Shepherd especially, that was a big moment. It'll be down to the DC, the race stewards, to see whether there was anything he could have done about that particular bit of contact. But for now, it has served him well because he's got an 8/10 gap over Siggy, who himself is under heaps of pressure from Gergo Baldy.
Yeah, look, I think Siggy was always going to attempt. He had the momentum. He had to do something. He probably saw a potential at a win there.
Oh, no. I was thinking further back in the Richards incident.
Yeah. Nothing doing as well.
I mean, Richards was kind of in a precarious position anyway, putting his car there.
Yeah, he was. It was brave. Trying to do it around the outside is always going to put you in a difficult position because it's very easy to put a car wide, just because of the speed of the corner. I appreciate the attempt. It was brilliant. That's what we love to see. But I think when you're fighting for a championship, sometimes you kind of have to weigh up whether it's worth it.
Yeah.
But it's put him down to P4 when he could have kept to P2. So he won't be thinking about that now. But come after the race, maybe it'll be on the back of his mind. It was brave, but maybe not worth it.
Let's put it this way as well. It could have been a lot worse.
Yes. It could have been in a wall.
Yeah, P4 is actually pretty good going of it. And I noticed Pinches there having a little look at Patel. Nothing doing this time around. As there goes Baldy up the outside of Druids. And look at that. The gap has just been completely eliminated to Chris Shepherd. The Englishman's going to have to work hard if he wants to keep this win.
Baldy's looking good. This lack of weight. He's only on 9 kilograms. So he's looking strong. This is what a battle this has turned into for the last 3 or 4 laps. But no, Baldy looking strong. Siggy's still really pushing it. I've got to say, Siggy's done an incredible job this race, considering
full 90 kilograms.
His weight
and he's still there.
Car, he's still there fighting for this win. That just shows how quick he can be in tin tops.
So, being able to survive Hawthorns. He's going to survive Westfield as well. Although, yeah, a little bit wide there from Shepherd. Sheen curve is pretty much going to be Sterling's. And it's going to have to be a dive. Does Siggy go for it? I don't think he is. I think he's going to play this safe. In fact, I think all of them are going to play it safe. Although, Chris Shepherd's just gone a little bit wide there on the exit. And that could allow Siggy Rebenak in around the outside of clearways in the clock curve. Here goes Baldy up the inside. Little bit of contact. It is going to be a drag race to the line as it stands. Look at Richard trying to take the podium. It's Shepherd who takes the win from Siggy Rebenak, from Baldy, from Richards. Brugman 5th with Olsen, Patel and Pinches, all separated by 2 seconds. That's madness on track. Strada and Butcher round out the top 10 with Taylor, Bell, Muru, Willis and Morby rounding out the point scorers. That's Willis's first points of the year. So well done to you, sir. The rest of the finishers were Ruolt, Cervic, Barkley after that early pit stop, remember, McGlade, Lindbergh, Wilson, Yoyovsky, Campfield and Mason, of course, who had a pit stop as well after suspension damage or retirements from this race, were Delgado, Mayer and Frith. That might have been one of the most entertaining ITC battles I have seen in a long, long time. You know what as well, Stefan? For the most part, it was bloody clean.
It was. I think even, yeah, it was an incredible finish, an incredible battle. I think the contact between Matt and Chris, I think it's just the way it is. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. I think it was completely fine. I think Siggy's little tap in going into the final couple of corners on Shepherd was expected as well. It was really just a really good race. It's the kind of touring car racing we really like to see. So a brilliant race.
I want to give out a shout out to Chris Butcher there, who's immediately put himself in a very good position for race 2 and potentially looking at race 3. That man could be a threat to make sure that ACR get a big amount of points. Because I mean, let's look at the team's championship side of things. Epic have picked up 25 points for that win. Already looking good. Edge Esports have picked up 29 points. Enterprise have picked up 27 points. Drake have their first... actually, no, I lied. They don't have their first 2-car score of the year because Tom Parker, who filled in for Ben Willis last time out in Mazzano, he actually scored in all 3 races. But for the first time, Ben Willis in the points in 2018. And so they're continuing their good form from Mazzano. Both Smile Powers have picked up points. And so, really, for ACR, it is damage limitation time, and Butcher doing a brilliant job there to set himself up for the rest of the evening.
Yeah, there's some really good point scores for some certain teams in there. Film will be picking up 15th with a point as well. So, no, some really good standout drives in that. Eric Strand picking up P9, but the top 5, man, there's some insane driving in that. That was incredible.
Top 8 separated by 2 seconds. What other series
you don't see?
Do you get that in?
You just don't see that anywhere else. That's just crazy. It's mental. I think, what was it? The top 26 points between 1st and 23rd as well. 26 points, seconds. Jesus.
Yeah.
It's good. It's crazy. It's what we want. It's what we like to see. That's why we keep coming back to this.
Poor Scott Cervic there, after doing such a good job in the first part of the race, sort of wheels fell off the wagon for him outside of the points.
Yeah, that's unlucky, but I reckon knowing Scott, he'll probably come and bang in a decent drive this round anyway, knowing Scott. But P17, yeah, it's probably not what he was after, all things considered.
And also, to be fair as well, I mean, being at the sharp end of things in race 2 isn't always a good thing, because it's almost like a poison chalice this year. If you're up the top end in race 2, then you're going to be bogged down in the midfield with no chance to make your way through in race 3. So if you're going to get your points, you've got to get them now.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's interesting, the transition from last year to this year. I think what we're seeing, the jump in class in Division 1's so nuts. I remember certain times last year, Rudy would somehow, with reverse pole, he'd be basically in no man's land in mid pack, and he'd just waltz through with 5 laps. It's like things like that. Yeah, I probably can't do this because of the competitive nature of this series now. So getting your points in early it's critical now. It's much more important, and there is a slight tactical game to it now, I suspect. With, do you go for the extra overtake and wait up for reverse pole? I don't know, but there is now that element to it.
I will preface that by saying I still thoroughly believe that if Rudy Van Buren was defending his title this year, he would still very much be in the hunt for the championship. I'd wager to say that he would be leading. But I do think that there have been a number of assets to this championship which have changed, which would have seen his lead limited. For example, the change in weight ballast to the top 10. Having weight ballast and certainly having the leader now on 90 kilograms, it's a pretty big amount. On top of that as well, of course, we've got the change in mod, which always sees a slight shuffling of the order.
Yeah, I completely agree. There's been a lot of changes, hasn't there? It feels like a different series to last year, both in calendar car and etc. So I reckon you're right. I think really we cannot deny is just, well, he's an alien. The things he does is pretty incredible. So I would agree. I'd probably still be there, but the competition is definitely higher. And I've had a game crash. Excellent.
Oh, lovely.
We've both had it now. Great.
Good old tech issues.
Oh,
Tell you what, you don't get this in other esports. That's a lie. You totally do. You don't get this in other esports.
Shh, James.
Little peek behind the curtains.
Hey, behind the scenes.
You don't want to go behind the scenes, really. It's a mess.
No.
I mean, have you seen the state of the website? Goodness me.
Now you mention it. Wait. Read the new dev blog from GPV. Cheeky plug.
Cheeky plug. Actually, are you going to GPVWC Day? Even though I'm not going, that's probably more reason for you to go to GPVWC Day. Details on the Discord.
Yes, it is. I will be. Are you not there, James? Oh, James,
no, I'm not there.
Come on, man.
I've not been to a single GPVWC Day.
Oh, it's all right. We'll come back with pitchforks and knives at you later. You should come, man.
Yeah, I'm busy.
I
changed from I'm probably to I'm busy because my schedule doesn't allow. Also, sorry about the Super League picture. Are we the WTF1 Super League today? We are.
We are.
Why haven't we changed that? Why aren't we ITC?
I don't know, James. I think YouTube's being YouTube today. So I think it's going to stay like that for the whole stream.
Someone better rename that. And someone better get a nice picture in. It's like we have a media team to do... Well, we don't have a media team to do it, to be fair. But hopefully lots of changes coming. Which is 2019.
Work in progress.
Not have these sort of things. Actually, you know what? We do have a screen. And it's featuring the Enterprise. So I think it's just the actual stream name and stream picture itself. Which are the problems.
That's messing with my head, that is.
Yeah. Isn't it just?
I feel like we've just turned into like a 12 a.m. radio show, James.
I mean, we were always a 12 a.m. radio show.
We were. World Sports Series days. Oh.
Listen, that's one of the great things about this YouTube channel. If you're not subscribed, by the way, do so. There's literally race broadcasts every week. So if you're interested in sim racing, if this is your first broadcast, there's plenty of back catalogue to watch on this channel, including the World Sports Series. Dead Series, resting in the heavens with the likes of Atlantic now and Masters. But great fun as well. I'd love to see something like that back, but honestly, I feel like what GPVWC is doing now is making sure that there's a good quality independent product for both halves of the year, and of course the career ladder, which is the flagship product.
Naturally, I think we saw it with World GT, didn't we? That was a really good season. The amount that's changed with that was pretty spicy. So I think you're right. I think the focus in the independent series this year has been really, really nicely done. So.
Well, both series have had. Well, one series has had official DLC.
Yeah.
And one series has a new mod.
Life's great. It's just great, racing-wise.
Isn't it just?
Isn't it just?
I love it. Right, so let's have a little look at this chat. We're thinking, yeah, racing incident, Shepard versus Richards. I would agree.
Agreed.
I think it would be a similar case for Kev and Shepard. I think it was a little bit opportune or a little bit over-eager from Siggy Rebenak, but then again, where else was he going to do it? That was probably his one opportunity. Go Kev. Is there any new viewers tonight? I don't know Epic Racing. I'm guessing that you're asking them anyway. Surprisingly little paint scratching today. Yeah, absolutely. And long may that last. Long may that last.
Yeah, from what we've seen, I think generally speaking, the racing this year has been particularly clean. I think we've seen a few extreme cases, as you naturally will do in racing anyway.
And as is typical on the Discord, as soon as there is one incident.
Oh yeah, if you want an exploding Discord, GPV is the place to go when there's an accident. That's for sure.
If you want an exploding Discord, be Go Vankini.
Oh yes.
Oh wow. So news through from Mr. Mike Pittman at Avicronic Racing. Apparently, he selected 66 kilograms of weight ballast on the settings menu.
I love that. That's amazing.
So he was running with weight ballast.
He was running with weight ballast, even though he didn't need to.
And he finished out that killed him in qualifying and the race.
That's an interesting sandbagging tactic. That is. I'm expecting a race win in race 2 now. For Stefan.
From outside the points.
Outside the points, you know. Wow.
Coming on through.
There we go. That's yeah, he won't be doing that again. I'm pretty sure.
I hope not. It'd be good to see him score a point, certainly, especially on his debut. Right, into the final 30 seconds of warm-up. And a reminder that the weight ballast of the top 10 in the championship now transfers over to the top 10 in the race. So, Shepard's going to pick up 90 kilograms. Siggy's actually going to lose kilograms overall, so he's in a great position, I would argue, to maybe take a win. Gergo's going to pick up a load, and that all filters down to P10, which I did get the order of, and I put my phone away, which was incredibly dumb. I took the picture for no apparent reason now. But that's the basic idea, and of course the objective for race 2 is, unless you're in the top 10 scoring big money points, then make sure that you are in and about that P10 to P15 range, ideally as close to P10 as possible.
Yeah, completely agree. Completely agree.
So it's Chris Butcher who's going to pick up weight ballast. He's actually going to lose weight ballast. He came into this event P2 in the championship, so he's going to be shedding a lot of that weight. Strana's going to pick up a little bit. Interesting. Okay.
It's going to be good. It'll be an interesting race too. I mean, we're probably going to get the same as what we had race 1, just with slightly different weight changes.
Will it be a different order though?
Let's find out.
Let us find out as we head on over into race 2. We'll take you through your grid. We'll take a little gander at who we reckon is going to take the race win, if of course it is able to call such a thing. I know plenty of commentator who will respectfully bow out of, making a prediction at risk of looking. Wow. So I'm having a stroke. I'm having a stroke. I'm having indigestion, falling apart today.
Mate, of all the times you could have picked.
It must be like a Spanish bug or something that's decided to...
It's not like we're streaming or anything.
No, not at all. This is totally pre-recorded. I'm going to take a drink.
That was a good idea. So I found out that Jack Keithley is no longer doing ITC. So
is he really?
Stefan
or is he not really?
Is he? Oh well, James, that's deep. But Stefan is in for the rest of the season. So there you go. On the fly research. That's what we do here.
That does not surprise me. We'll leave it at that.
You don't want to elaborate, James?
He's got EWTCR to be focusing on.
Yes.
For a start. And it's been interesting watching his 2018 season unfold. So I will leave it at that. It's been yeah, that does not surprise me.
Countdown's on.
We wish the very best of luck to Stefan Rouault then. I think ACR are going to have taken a hit in the championship, though. A lot of people were looking at that lineup, Keithy Butcher, and saying easily going to be in the top 3, if not winning the team's championship.
Yeah. It was
big shoes to fill.
This one, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm. So, to the grid, everyone comes along. And I would be feeling very good indeed if I was Kevin Siggy after the race that he had with maximum weight ballast to now be in a rear-wheel drive on the front row. It bodes well, but in order to take number 1, he's going to have to make his way past Chris Shepherd, who actually picked up his second race win of the season last time out in race 1. Gogo Baldi is going to start P3, which is actually where he started race 1 as well, albeit with a lot more weight ballast this time around. Matt Richards behind him in P4. It's then a Matt Richards sandwich with Niels Brugman, the other enterprise there, in P5. Tobias Olsen starts P6 with Mohamed Patel P7. And rounding out the top 10, we have Adam Pinches, Eric Strano, who had a great race from the back, and then Chris Butcher, who battled his way from outside the points to finish there in P10 by race end. We have Adam Taylor, who battled from all the way back in P27 to get to P11, so the Englishman in fine form here today. Mike Bell is P12 ahead of Raunu Muru, Ben Willis, and Philip Morby, who round out the point-scoring positions down to P15. Stefan Rouault will start outside of there, hopefully now without the 66 unnecessary kilograms in his car. P16 for ACR ahead of Scott Cervic, who'll be a little bit disappointed after race 1, surely. He'll be wanting to score some points, at the very least, get into the top 15. Nico Barclay, after that pit stop, of which we don't know why that was, maybe he underfueled. Oh, maybe he had qualifying fuel in. I'm not sure. Either way, down in P18 now for Rowan GP. Lewis McGlade's P19, and rounding out the top 20, we have Johan Lindberg. It's another case of being surrounded by a team. James Wilson starting P21, with Erhan Yuyovsky P22. Adrian Camfield starts P23 ahead of Rob Mason in P24. Jack Mayers P25, and then rounding out the grid is Tyrone Frith in P26. Which means that Mr. Pedro Delgado is not back for race 2 after suffering a disconnection.
It's unfortunate. I think if I wanted to be anybody in the grid right now, I would want to be Kevin Siggy.
Same. I mean, not just because he's a great driver anyway, and a gorgeous man, but with impeccable fashion sense, by the way, but he's in a rear-wheel drive on the front row of the grid. That's almost like a guaranteed victory unless you mess it up.
Just based on the pace he showed in race 1, he's looking strong.
Of course, do watch out for Matt Richards, who was a little bit unlucky not to be on the podium, some would say. Had incredible pace despite the weight ballast. I think the Enterprises are going to struggle this race, honestly. Especially with their tyre wear in the Vauxhall. Maybe Mohamed Patel, he can come through.
Yeah, he's looking good in 7th, to be fair. So it would be interesting to see what he can manage. He was looking pretty quick in the last few races, fairly consistent. So it'll be
with the exception of Misano.
We'll ignore Misano.
And France.
And
he looked good in Poznan,
too.
Yeah.
Poznan, he was great.
In Poznan, he was brilliant. Maybe a revival of form here at the halfway point in the season.
Absolutely.
So, we look up to the lights then. 3, 4, and 5. And we head towards Paddock Hill Bend once again. It is a pretty decent start, actually, from Chris Shepherd. Matt Richards tucking up into the slipstream of Gogo Baldi. The short run down to turn 1. Sees Kevin Siggy immediately taking the initiative around the outside of Paddock Hill Bend. He's going to be hitting Druids, but Chris Shepherd's going to have the inside line. Is he going to be able to hold it inside, though? No, he's not. Now Kevin Siggy Rebenak on the inside of Graham Hill Bend, and he has just taken the lead in fine fashion. That's a bit of driving, but Chris Shepherd isn't done. He's going to try and make his way round the outside here of Sutton. I lie, that's the wrong corner name. It's Surtees, there we go. And actually getting it horribly, horribly wrong as well, which is going to allow Gergo Baldi and Tobias Olsen in. I did not see Olsen sneaking past Richards there, but he has done. And look at Baldi immediately going to the inside of Chris Shepherd, up the inside of Hawthorns. He's going to muscle his way through. There was no way that Chris Shepherd was going to defend that. And now here comes Olsen down the inside as well. Our pole sitter is dropping like a stone.
That was a really brave move from Siggy around the outside. Cold tyres, cold brakes, that could have ended catastrophe. But that was really good. Chris Shepherd seems to be really struggling at the moment. He's literally dropping like a stone. But some really, really, really good driving in the first half a lap here.
And Niels Brugman hasn't had the best of starts either, down to P8 and got Chris Butcher all over the back of him. Adam Taylor making up a position. But at the end of lap 1, he is a second clear at this point, flying away. It's Kevin Siggy Rebenak from Baldi, Olsen, Shepherd, Richards, Patel, Strana, Brugman, Butcher, and Taylor rounding out the top 10. Is that Mohamed Patel? Oh, yeah, it's Mohamed Patel looking on the inside of Strana. Look at Butcher now up the inside of Brugman. Is this Olsen? Oh, no, it's Richards through on Shepherd, sorry, into P4. And is Butcher going to go down the inside of Olsen? Oh, of Brugman, sorry, my apologies. Almost. It's contact between the two as they go into Graham Hill Bend. Brugman going to hold on for now, and that could allow Adam Taylor in on the inside. Contact between the two, and that's some opportunistic, brilliant driving from the Adonis driver who's going to slap the two of them. Adam Taylor gets 2 positions, crashes into Brugman, though the two of them go wide. Oh, my goodness me. And it's going to be Taylor who comes out on top, Butcher 9th. Brugman bullied down to 10th.
I mean, that's aggressive driving. There's still touching going down to 4th. This is crazy. That was Adam Taylor's really not messing around, is he? No. He is. He's going hammer. He's still. Jeez. Keep it clean, lads. He's going for it. There's some Butcher. Oh, this is good. This is good. It's aggressive driving, but in the end, it's fair enough.
Chris Shepherd's lost another position. This time to Eric Strana as Olsen's off, and he's into the wall as well, where Mason found grief. Olsen has fallen off the road as well, so Matt Richards onto the podium. Kevin Siggy with a 2.5 second advantage. We haven't even crossed the line. For the second time of asking, is it going to be 3 seconds once we head across the line? Let's see, the timing beam comes up now. It remains at 2.5 seconds, but this is mostly down to Matt Richards putting Gergo Baldi under all sorts of pressure. And so where has Olsen rejoined? Olsen is out, and he joins 3 others. Look at this, Lindbergh, Cervic, and Frith all out on lap 2 as well.
Yeah, Tobias got involved in another incident. He was trying to regroup literally in the last turn. He just got either he had contact, but he went flying into the wall. So that's his race firmly done. He's been having a difficult evening. There's also making a few mistakes here and there. So hopefully he can get that sorted for race 3, but it's going to be difficult from basically the back of the grid.
So things have ever so slightly settled down, although look at Eric Strana going up the inside of Matt Richards into Hawthorns again. I did not expect Hawthorns to be the primary overtaking position going into this evening, but lo and behold, ITC surprises again, the 3 of them going line astern on this particular rotation. Chris Shepherd still holding Mohamed Patel behind. Chris Butcher joining onto the back of this train. Adam Taylor P8, Niels Brugman P9. He's joined by 2 smiles of Pinches as who's that off? Is that Patel going around the outside of Sterling's? Good innovation, but it might come back to bite him. Here comes Chris Butcher now lining up along the outside of Clearways, and is he going to go around the outside of the Clark curve? Almost. There was a little bit of classic ITC contact there, and actually Patel's gotten that corner all wrong. Butcher through, Taylor through, and is Brugman going to capitalise as well? No, he is not.
Yeah, Patel's run was completely just ruined there. A little bit of contact just sent him completely out of rhythm. He was always going to be susceptible to at least a couple of places lost. Chris Butcher though, he's climbing the order, fair play to him. He's now P6, so.
Drive so far. Oh, Pinches. Wow, good save. And it's not much loss either, because he's only let his teammate through.
That's such a typical front wheel drive. I'm going to floor it, and this is going in the same direction I need it to be going. That was a really good save.
And up ahead, Bell now looking to take the initiative around the outside of Niels Brugman. Brugman going to be on the defensive line into Hawthorns. Mike Bell seemingly with more pace, and he looks to fully, cleanly go around the outside. Contact between the two, and Oh, he just cuts in across, and surely he's going to have the move done into Westfield. There's contact between the two once again, and his pinch is going to make his way through on Brugman as well. Yes, he is. That was a bit touch and go, but Mike Bell is through into ninth. That was brave. That little cheeky dive on the inside was brave. That could have ended very badly. No, fair enough. They've kept it going. Mike Bell, Smile Power this year have been so consistent. I'm quite surprised. A really nice surprise. They've been really, really good this year. So nice to keep them in the top 10. What's going on further down? Not a lot, but Siggy's now 3.2 ahead. Yeah, I struggle. Did Pinches pick up a podium? Yes, he did pick up a podium in France. Why do I not have that down? Bizarre. It means that both Smiles have actually taken a podium this season. And so not only are they scoring consistently, but they're scoring big as well. Scoring well, yeah. Now, going back up to the front, Gogo Baldy has really bolted from the Richards-Strana battle that's going to be occupying this final place on the podium. Shepard 5th, Butcher 6th with Taylor 7th. Mohamed Patel is now looking to catch up onto the back of this as well. And the Smile Powers working together beautifully, looking to make their way up the order. Brugman, Muru, McGlade up into 13th. What a launch he's had. Yojovski as well up to P14. Barclay into the top 15 as well. And unfortunately for Campfield, he joins our retirements on lap 4 of 12. We're on lap 5 now. So it is starting to calm down just a little bit. Yeah, this is natural mid-race stuff, isn't it? The battles are starting to form. Butcher, Taylor, Strand and Richards still going at it. The two Smile Power cars clearly aren't giving any quarters, are they? They're going hammer and tongs at it. So, no, this is... Stefan's in the pits. Very strange. Has he taken on qualifying fuel? Oh, he hasn't, has he? I don't know. Been there a while. He's had 66 kilos. It might be. If he's been in there a while, it sounds like suspension damage to me. Yeah, I think we might not be seeing him for the rest of the race. It's been a rough. Oh, is Baldy into? Oh, was he into the gravel? No, it was lag. Oh. I mean, it's so easy to do. Honestly, I'm surprised I've not seen more people in the gravel at Paddock Hill. It's been very good around Paddock Hill, to be fair. I'm surprised we haven't had an accident at turn 1 yet at Paddock Hill, because that usually tends to be the case. So, no, it's been very good driving this evening in overall. Very good quality of it. I figured out where my stats are wrong. It says Fidek picked up a win in race 1 at France, and I haven't got that noted down. Was it... Oh, hello. Is Schoenfleet still in this championship, or did Schoenfleet pick up a penalty? I'm absolutely baffled. I'm guessing he must have picked up a penalty, which is why he's down in P9 in race 1. It's confused me no end, Stefan, and my brain's it's falling apart this evening. You just got to roll with it, mate. You just got to go with it. Yeah, I'm struggling today, folks. It's okay, Jay. Get it together, man. Got another race of this as well. I'm right. Gogo Baldy looking to have to try and keep it together up there in P2. That nice advantage that he did have has completely evaporated, and Rich is now trying to switch on offensive mode as opposed to defensive mode. Look at this, tucked up into the slipstream. Lovely. Around the outside of Paddock Hill, he's going to try and swing it round, but no. Gogo Baldy takes the defensive line, but this is going to allow Richards into Druids, and he's already got a little lip there. He's going to give him the space to do so. The MG throws its way up the inside, and Gogo Baldy's going to hang on around the outside. Wow, that was... He's managed to get some insane driver for that. I thought Matt was going to take that for certain. That was really well defended. That was brilliant. Watch out for Strand here, though, because if these two get a bit touchy-feely around this area of the circuit, Eric could find himself in a very good stead to take the both of them, really. 4.2 seconds now, the advantage between Siggy and Baldy. It's a shame, really, isn't it? Because it's as close a battle for the podium as we were seeing in race 1, albeit the leaders just completely checked out at this point, in a very similar fashion, actually, as to how he won the race in Misano just 2 weeks ago, in race 2 at that as well. Yeah, this race for Siggy is very Siggy-esque. Given the room, he'll just run off into the distance. It's a very solid, consistent drive for him so far. But this is Baldy, Richards, and Strand. This is where the big points battle is right now. Still got loads going on in 8th to 10th as well. I was going to say, Patel has closed up onto the back of Taylor. However, the Smile Powers they're getting a little bit eager and once again being pressured into Clark Curve. Mohamed Patel might be at risk of losing this P8, not just the Pinches, but Bell as well, the Hungarian, really eating up the slipstream as we head towards Paddock Hill Bend. He's going to go to the outside, much like Richards. Oh, and he gets it terribly wrong. I told you it was easy to do that, and Pinches has fallen foul of it. He rejoins in P11. He's going to lose that to Adam Taylor. Here comes Lewis McGlade up the inside of Pinches as well. And just like that, Adam Pinches from inside the top 10 down to P13.
God, he did really well to save that because it could have ended up being flung into a wall. You're right, it's so easy to do, and because of the speed you literally carry into that corner, it's crazy. So fair play for him to keeping it out, but that was tense. That could have been a lot worse.
There was also a lovely Vauxhall on Vauxhall move behind as Barkley muscled his way up the inside of Graham Hill Bend to make his way into P14. That's another move. That's Taylor through on Shepherd. And Butcher through on Shepherd. What happened to Chris? Oh, look at that. So Butcher overtook him into Graham Hill Bend, I think he was, and then up the inside of Hawthorns. Taylor went. Nice and simple.
Yeah, Chris has been out of sorts.
Oh, Baldy. Baldy's off.
Baldy's off.
And would you believe it, it's Sheen Curve again.
Must have done the same as Rob Mason's, probably caught his rear on the grass and just sent him round by the looks of it.
So that's going to be...
replays.
Look at this, Taylor up into the top 5. And for Gergo Baldy, it's not worst case scenario, because as long as he doesn't fall too far back, he's just going to have a better starting position and better weight ballast for race 3.
Yeah.
But this has also been a trend of Gergo Baldy that we have seen all season long, with the exception of Poznan. He's been making mistakes at every single round, and we were looking at this guy as maybe a championship protagonist. He just seems like one of the best of the rest with these mistakes coming in.
Yeah, it was literally a carbon copy of Rob Mason's accident, so yeah. No, you're completely right. I think if he could really get rid of these occasional mistakes he keeps making, he'd be up there. Like we said in Poznan, we were saying this guy, keep an eye on him because he's good. He just needs to iron out the mistakes. The thing is, it's not too bad because he's still got the second half of the season to go. Yeah. But he does need to get this ironed out pretty soon.
Further up the order, look at Strana now pressuring Matt Richards. Oh, bit of a touch on the rear then. Bump drafting, go eat your heart out round Hawthorns especially. Oh, a little bit wide there from the Welshman. Strana, surely not up the inside of Sheen Curve. He's actually gone side by side through there already. And great move from Eric Strana, although look at Richards on the inside. No, he's not going to be able to keep it. Strana, I doff my hat to you, sir. Brilliant move.
Stunning. It's what we were saying pre-race 1. If Strana wants to overtake you, he will do, no matter what it takes. That was stunning. What was I saying when there's only pretty much 2 decent overtaking opportunities? They've been overtaken all over the bloody place.
And look at Chris Butcher now as well, around the outside of Paddock Hill Bend. He's not going to want to repeat what Pinches did, but he started P10, Butcher. He's had a brilliant race.
Yeah, this is typical Butcher. He will climb. There's a lot of similarities between Butcher and Strand, the way they drive. They will just climb through a field if they need to. He's been fantastic as Butcher, taking opportunities as they come. Adam Taylor as well, P5. These guys have just climbed together throughout through incidents and overtakes. It's been brilliant. They've been great.
Yeah, Adam Taylor's been particularly outstanding this event so far. A top 5 would absolutely do his efforts justice. Behind Baldy's been able to clear Chris Shepherd now, who's under all sorts of pressure. He was almost overtaken around the outside of Druids by Mohamed Patel. Just not enough pace there. Mike Bell still in 9th. And Niels Brodman currently sitting pretty in P10, almost guaranteed at that point. Well, no, he is guaranteed at that point a start on the front 3 rows. Yuyovsky, McGlade, Pinches, Barkley and Muru rounding out the point scores. But once again, it's Ben Willis here, late race charge, looking to make it 2-point scores in the case of 2 races. The boy loves Brands Hatch.
Yep, he's on it, isn't he? He's properly enjoying this place. I think sometimes Brands can do that. People do this have a love affair with it.
Ooh, Patel. He is past Shepherd. And that looked like a little bit of a mistake from the pole sitter, may I remind you. So there is 90 kilograms on board that Honda, and it's beginning to show as Mike Bell lines up a move.
Oh, he's not going to do it at Paddock, is he?
Just about. Just about. Although look at Shepherd now on the inside of Druids. He has got a little bit of his car alongside. He's going to...
Just got to leave the room.
thrusting his way down the inside of Druids, and I think he is just about going to have this. No, Bell with some good traction on the outside of the corner and through Graham Hill Bend. He secures P8. Or does he?
Not, you know. This is great racing. That was audacious from Mike. He was... Oh. There we go. Finally. We've done Chris Shepherd racing out from Niels as well. He's falling like a stone. This weight is not doing him any favours. At this rate, he could find himself out of the top 10, which, considering you started on pole, is fairly crazy.
If you're P10, that is not too bad. I mean, he's already won race 1, and he didn't start on pole position, Stefan. So if he's starting on pole position in race 3, we might have our first double winner of the season in an event.
That's true. I keep forgetting about reverse grid, don't you, reverse grid? Yeah. No, you're completely right. Always throwing in the mix. But this, it will be of some concern weight-wise anyway. He won't be... He's clearly struggling with it. Reverse grid pole. Oh, look at this. And Brugman probably going to have... Probably before turn 1 as well. Yeah, that was just... Someone's beeping on their way through, yeah. And, oh, is that Yovsky going to go through as well? Oh, really using the doors of Shepherd there to lean his way in. Brugman is clear. Look at Lewis McGlade looking to capitalise on this situation as well. Into Druids we go, and Yovsky is through. Lewis McGlade is going to try and muscle his way through as well. Chris Shepherd. Now it is starting to get dangerous. Around the outside of Graham Hill Bend goes McGlade, and Adam Pinch is looking to get involved. Nico Barclay looking to get involved. He is so lucky. Oh, Barkley going wide there. I tell you what, Shepherd is lucky that Raunumuru is another 4 seconds down the road. But even then, P12 now, potentially P13 after Adam Pinches potentially overtakes him. Thankfully for him, he's only got until the end of this lap to survive. Yeah, this, had it been another 4 or 5 laps, it'd given him something to think about, because you look at what Siggy was able to do at the highest weight. To see him drop like that is a bit of a surprise. Oh, it's Patel. Look at this. Patel up the inside of Sheen Curve. And it looks like Gergo Baldy's really starting to struggle. But back up to the front, we look to Patel's teammate. And Kevin Siggy, by a clear country mile, takes his 3rd win of the season, further extending that championship lead. He's going to come home ahead of Eric Strana, who picks up his 3rd podium of the season. Matt Richards, who picks up his 2nd podium of the season. Butcher 4th. Taylor, an incredible 5th. Patel 6th with Mike Bell 7th. So Gergo Baldy falling all the way down to P8. Although, again, double-edged sword. It could prove brilliant in race number 3. Yayovsky 9th. He managed to make his way past Niels Brugman. Good move for him. And Niels Brugman will be the first man who starts off our potential race 3 pole sitters. It's him, McGlade, after a brilliant race up to P11. Shepherd pinches Barclay, and Willis once again sneaking inside the points. Outside of the points, it's Muru, Mayer, Wilson, Mason, Morby, and Ruolt, your finishers, your retirements from this race. Campfield, Olsen, Frith, Servik, and Lindberg. Good race. It was as action-packed, but it still had some interesting, isn't it? Siggy producing a Kevin Siggy drive really just kind of went off distance, didn't he? Not many stresses he had during that one, but I've got to give shout outs to Butcher and Taylor. They were the stars of that one. That's an incredible climb up the grid. That I'm impressed with Patel as well. Honestly, continuing good form. McGlade, what a climb! Well outside the points to come home P11. He's not only made him. He's done what we were talking about pre-race 2, Stefan. He's not only gotten himself inside the points, but he's given himself probably the best opportunity to get a bit of reverse grid fortune in race 3. Yeah, we said it earlier, and it's coming to fruition. He's done what he probably wanted to do. But it'll be interesting. Reverse grid's going to be interesting. It's going to be quite a mix of this, I reckon. And it's on 2-point scores as well. Yeah, twice consecutive. And that's always going to be confidence boosting, isn't it? I mean, to have a replacement driver for 1 round, and for him to not only outscore you, but outscore you comprehensively from the 2 rounds previously, to some people that's going to hurt, but I think Ben Willis knows his pace, he knows his ability, and he's really used his knowledge of the track and his knowledge of the car to his full advantage. The MG, probably one of the better cars around here,
and scoring some good points that might be crucial come season end.
Yeah, it's always annoying when you don't score points, especially when you know you should be. It's all it gets a bit frustrating. So points are always good. Smile Power though, gotta say, they're pulling in some drives. Mike Bell in P7.
It was a real shame from Pinchers, wasn't it? Just that one lapse in concentration, and he pretty much threw away a guarantee. I mean, you look at where Mike Bell finished in P7, Pinchers would have been 6th, maybe battling 5th.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, it would have been probably P6, P5. I reckon for Pinchers. It's just unlucky that he caught in one of the places we said was doing all right, so we gave it the commentator's curse, I believe.
It always pops up at some point, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
So Barkley scoring more points for Rowan GP, nowhere near as prolific as his Misano drives, but still good for that outfit. And really, that's been the real worrying sign, I think, for the relegation scrap teams. I mean, looking at race number 1 as well. So Muru scored 3 points in race 1. And so that's going to be more on the board for TTF, and Morby did pick up a point. But considering that P12, the first/last of the relegated teams come season end, given that that is IDOS, and given that they had a 18-point lead on Racing Team Schroten going on to this event, that's going to be very worrying indeed. Because I think Rowan's got a great driver in Barkley. I think he's having an off day today. And Adonis Engineering were 10th. They've had great scores. Aurora was 9th. McGlade's at least come back in race 2, might have a good score in race 3. You know, it's starting to get a little bit worrying looking at those 4 teams at the bottom, Steph, and they might be rooted there for the rest of the season if they're not careful.
Yeah, they do need to start finding some points somewhere soon, or else they are going to seriously find themselves in trouble.
CM Tech didn't even turn up today.
Yeah, I think that's pretty ominous. That will give them many concerns and many things to think about come relegation time. I think it, like we say, there's still a good opportunity to get yourself out of there. But the longer you leave it, the worse it's going to get. Much like in the Premier League. It will get more and more difficult as every race goes by now.
But of course, with the Premier League comes the Championship, and one thing that we haven't really covered in Division 1 yet is how Division 2 is getting on, and the runners and riders in that particular championship who we might very well see going into the 2019 ITC season. And so they're actually racing as we speak as well. Both divisions run at the same time, and currently leading the championship heftily. It's a completely different story there to here. We have Mr. Ryan Elliott, who going into the UK has picked up 3 race wins. Not only that, Stefan, but he's missed a race and he's 56 points clear of P2.
Yes, he is.
So he's
looking an effort, isn't it?
Isn't it just? So Ryan Elliott looking very good, and actually Elliott part of the Powered by RSR team. His teammate is Nathan Hammond, and they are a good 35 points clear of Frami Autosport. Frami, who weren't even at the opening round at Poznan. That's Ben Horrell and Cliff van der Ven. So very much one very experienced driver and one newbie. And they are scoring for fun at the moment. It's a bit patchy, some of the other teams, looking to fill in drivers here and there. But the 4 teams that are currently in those top 4 positions are powered by RSR, Frami Autosport, I almost talked about another league there, goodness me. Fusion Racing, we actually have one of the nicest, I feel like, 2 divisions. And TCS Off Racing, though that battle for the top 4 is not entirely over. You've got like a Viral Art there, 16 points behind. Team Rookie Monsters, 7 points behind them. There's a lot of teams. Okay, let's revise that phrase. There are 4 teams outside of the top 4, all with over 100 points. And that is going into this round as well. So that's with 5 rounds to go until the end of the season. I just thought it'd be interesting to take a little fun look at the...
Isn't it?
Yeah, because I mean, especially for someone like Ryan Elliott, that's going to be the sort of driver that some of the established teams in Division 1 are going to be looking to next year as someone to maybe push them forward?
I think this is it. I think there's two things, isn't it, to Div 2? There's the driver side that you want, and then there's obviously the promoted teams as well. So I think it's definitely good to keep an eye on Div 2. I think you're going to mention reverse grid pole, aren't you?
I am, and I'm
Yes,
very excited. The reverse grid number is P11. Now, the first ramification of that, which we should cover, is that it means that Lewis McGlade's on pole position, and it means that Niels Brugman is up there once again in race 3. He's had a little habit of being there or thereabouts in the podium positions in every race 3 so far this season. It also means that Chris Shepherd, who finished P12, will not be starting on reverse grid pole position, and unfortunately that is just sometimes how the crumbles, Stefan. You can ride your luck only so much until it bites you back.
Yeah, when he started dropping quite aggressively, the writing was on the wall to how valuable it would actually be. You kind of, with reverse grid, you kind of want to be in the P9, P10 area. When you start getting to the real low end of it, it becomes quite the risk. It feels quite right that the most experienced ITC driver on the grid is taking pole for the 150 race.
Isn't it just? Yeah.
Isn't it just? It's just that's yes. Yes, go on, Lulu.
I'm going to type that in chat as well, because that's a great fact.
There you go. There's another one for the stat sheet for you. Knowing Lewis as well, he'll take this with 2 open arms. That's crazy. 150 races, James.
150 races over what would be, so 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 6 years of ITC.
There you go.
That's as long as I've been... Actually, that's a lie. The first season was 2013, 20... Was it? I'm pretty sure it was 2013, 2014. Yes, it was. 5 years of ITC. My apology. So 5 years, 150 races. Anything else we can throw in there? 5 years of Aurora Motorsports.
5 years of Lewis doing ITT. How do we keep milking this? No, that's
with our sponsors for this now.
This ain't American, James.
I wish
lob sponsors everything.
I wish Milka was sponsoring us. I had some, honestly. I was over in Spain over the weekend, and on the way home, was so hungry I decided to buy from the elusive duty-free shops.
Oh, yeah.
I was surprised by the choice of Milka over in Spain, and I had a beautiful Milka Oreo bar, and it was like one of those proper bars as well, not like a little one.
Yeah.
Chunky beast.
Milka is, if no one's ever had Milka, you're missing out.
I tell you what, everyone is missing out on Matthew Allington's Milka purple cars.
Yes.
Because he used to do those all the time. They were great.
Oh, they were great, weren't they? Oh, Matt, bring them back. Bring back the Milka
official
cars,
sponsorship
please.
form, though.
Oh, but just as like a throwback. He does need that, though.
Yeah. Maybe you could get away with it with like a slightly changed. So instead of Milka, it's like Creamer or something.
Well, people do those retro liveries with different sponsors, so I'm sure he could pull some strings.
The YDF1 livery this year's a retro livery.
Not to be confused with the Aurora.
Not to be confused with the Aurora, which is most certainly not a retro livery.
Shout out to we have got a new viewer, DJ Drastic. He's apparently watching for the first time. So hello to DJ Drastic.
Yeah,
what
welcome.
An incredible name that is. Hope you enjoy the stream.
That's a great caster name, honestly.
It is, isn't it?
DJ Drastic, yeah.
Oh, we should so totally get him on. We should so totally get you on for GPV commentary. That'd be incredible.
We don't go by gamer tags here, though. You don't call me Ira Leak.
I might just start doing it. I'm kidding. I can't be bothered with
I
that.
can't take anything seriously in e-racing unless it's with my actual name. It's like it's a different culture.
Yes, definitely is.
Actually, that's a lie. I go by my... No, I don't go by my gamer tag in Gran Turismo. Never mind me. You go by... You do... If you're racing in Gran Turismo, though, you do go by...
You go by
your gamer tag. Until... This is the weird thing. Until the regional finals and grand finals, or if you go on World Tour events, in which case you do use your real name.
Yep.
What's up with that?
I have no idea.
I have no idea, and I'm a caster.
Yes, you are. Yeah, you should know. God.
I'll check eventually. Right. Race 3 time. Of course, another thing of having a relatively low reverse grid number means for those guys who have the big boy penalty or the big boy weight ballasts from race 2, they're kind of half let off the hook because they have less cars ahead of them. They're still going to find it difficult, though.
Yeah, they will. It's a big grid change. It's P11. But they will find it hard. I think people to look out for, potentially the small cars actually in this. They seem to be pretty damn quick. They're not messing around that much. So it's going to be a good race. It's got to be for the 150th, right?
McGlade is a previous race winner as well. He's taken 2 wins in his career, 15 podiums. Yuyovsky has not won yet, but he has taken a podium and arguably had a win taken away from... Pardon me, a win taken away from him in Mazzano Race 1. Baldy's won this season. Brugman has not, but he's always been in the hunt in Race 3. And those are your top 4. McGlade from Brugman, from Yuyovsky, from Baldy. Things looking very nice for Enterprise from the start. Their cars 2 and 4. Mike Bell will start P5 for Smile Power. And he's followed then by Mohammed Patel, who's the first of the rear-wheel drives. Now, could Patel be a potential shout for the podium in the win? Adam Taylor, he's had a cracking evening by all accounts. P7. Butcher 8th. Richards 9th. And Eric Strana P10, just ahead of Kevin Sickey, who once again inherits the 90-kilogram weight ballast. Chris Shepard will be starting P12, ahead of Adam Pinches in P13. We then have Nico Barclay and Ben Willis rounding out the point-scoring positions. Ranu Muru, Jack Mayer, James Wilson, Rob Mason, and Philip Morby will round out the top 20. And then rounding out the back of the grid, we have Stefan Ruot still to score a point in that ACR, the new full-time driver then, as it turns out, for ACR Zach Speed. Adrian Campfield, Tobias Olsen, who crashed out in race 2. Tyrone Frith, Scott Servick, and Johan Lindberg rounds out our grid of 26. So still no Pedro Delgado, sorry, after his race 1 disconnection.
Yeah, this is going to be... I don't know who to call for this one. It's difficult because we know how much Chris Butcher can climb a grid. Patel is still consistently quick this evening. He's been very good. But then will McGlade just run away? It's difficult to call.
McGlade's form this season hasn't been great. If there was anyone inside that top 5, then it would be between Brugman, Yuyovsky, and Baldy. Maybe throw Patel in there as the rear-wheel drive too.
Yes.
Maybe Taylor as well. But I'm looking at either Enterprise or Yuyovsky. In which case, Baldy's the only one with a race win between those 3 this season. So maybe has the experience to win it through. We'll wait and find out.
Wait, and Baldy's not particularly scared to make a move either, so...
No. but he is scared enough to make mistakes from time and again. It's all balanced very nicely indeed. What of McGlade? What can he do in this 150th International Touring Cup race? We are racing here at Brands Hatch, and it's a great start from Niels Brugman off the line. He's going to be challenging McGlade around outside of Paddock Hill Bend. Into turn 1, goes fully around the outside. Look at McGlade mounting the inside curb. Stays ahead for now. Into Druids. I'm looking at Mohammed Patel to see whether he's had a decent start. It's not really worked out for him. In fact, it's going to be Adam Taylor who makes his way through on the Englishman, on his compatriot, of course. Yuyovsky has been oh no, he's not been overtaken. My apologies. He's attempting the overtaking on Niels Brugman, and it's pretty much actually as you were down the rest of the field. Look at, oh my word, 4-wheel drifting and almost fully round from Adam Taylor. He gets a clouting from Matt Richards, and he gets helped round by Matt Richards. A pirouette and another big crash. That was a poor rejoin from Adam Taylor. And after such a great evening, Stefan, it's come crashing to a terrible end.
Yeah, I don't know what Adam was trying there. He was clearly desperate to get back on the circuit, but he really needed to wait where he was stuck. So that was dangerous. I'd be surprised if he didn't get called up for that. Lewis McGlade, though, launched it into Paddock Hill to try and defend his position. It was a great start in the end.
Oh, Baldy, sorry, he's
wide.
gone off again. He tried to hold on against Mike Bell, who'd put his car very nicely indeed on the inside. And Baldy tried a little bit fruitlessly to defend that. So Bell up to P4. Sorry to cut across you, but we are going to come to the end of lap 1 now, and it is going to be McGlade who remains in the lead. From Brugman, Yuyovsky, Bell now up at P4, Baldy, Butcher, Pinches, Patel, Richards and Shepherd rounding out the top 10. But how close is this? You've got Eric Strana on the back as well. Side by side into turn 1. Matt Richards is going to hold on for now.
All in all, clean race to start. Questionable 10 fault, but we won't go into that. No. Lewis holding on to lead 6 ahead. Starting to settle down. Your main battle's looking really hard. P6 to P10. Matt Richards trying to get moved on with Mohammed Patel to try and climb up. Shepherd looking race as well, it must be said.
Well, remember, he's got no weight ballast, and so he is going to be the real danger man in these lower point-scoring positions of the top 10, maybe even looking up towards the sharp end of things come race end. But he's got a lot of strong contenders to try and make his way through on. Mohammed Patel just about holding on to P8 here. I was expecting a little bit more from him on the start, but he was not able to make that rear-wheel drive traction count. Matt Richards actually looking the more likely to inherit this P8.
Yeah. Patel is struggling to hold on to this. He's drifting around the corners as well, which is not the most ideal thing to do. He's now not really seeming able to make a push on Adam at the moment.
Further up, Pinch is actually pressuring Butcher. But further up the order as well, I'm looking at Yuyovsky, and I'm thinking that Niels Brugman may be a little bit of a bottle cork here, because McGlade continues to maintain this 7-10 lead, and Yuyovsky taking a little peek on the inside of Paddock Hill Bend. I think there's more to come from the Macedonian yet.
I think so, yeah. Johan's been showing some serious flashes of speed this season, with a few incidents along the way, so we're really yet to see what this guy could probably do, and Adonis could do with some serious points.
As could Aurora, to be perfectly honest. Their start to the season has been less than ideal.
Oh, absolutely. If anything, Aurora seriously need this win to kick-start the season properly now. And I reckon, Johan, should he get past Brugman, we'll have something to say.
Reminder that neither of these drivers with a race win. Same actually of McGlade, of course, although McGlade has picked up. Actually, I'm not sure about Yuyovsky. Let me just double check. So Yuyovsky's taken 1 podium in his ITC career, and that was race 3 at Misano. Niels Brugman has taken 2 wins and 5 podiums, but again, it's that most experienced man in the field, McGlade, who trumps them all on the stats. 2 wins and 15 podiums. Although Bell, yeah, and was that Sheen as well? It was again, and was that on his own? Yes, it was. He did the exact same thing that we've seen so many drivers doing. Adam Pinches, Butcher and Baldy through, and Bell now right in the midst of this train that involves Patel, Richard, Shepherd, Strana, Siggy, Willis as well. Willis up into P15, Mason up into P14. Those two have had great starts.
Yeah, just I think probably avoiding that accident that Taylor was part of that, gaining some places there, so they're doing an incredible job. But Mike Bell's caused a serious bottleneck here going into Druid. The Archie. Mike's still holding on to this.
Oh, who's that falling? Who's that falling? Was that Patel? It was Patel. He's round at Druid, and now he's gotten caught up in this battle as well. Oh, it's an absolute melee around him. Strana off the track as well, so Strana down to P14.
That's not
look at it, it's crazy.
This is going to be interesting coming up to Hawthorns.
It's an army.
I mean, it's literally an armada coming up to. This is nuts.
An armada? I think it's more of an inquisition, because we certainly didn't expect it.
Oh. History with James and stuff. Anyway, we don't need that. Jeez.
I'm sure that Lewis McGlade wouldn't have expected to lead for this long either, but his lead has started to eke away ever so slightly. Brugman and Yuyovsky looking dangerous. And actually keep an eye out for Gergo Baldy as well. He's just closed 7/10 in the last lap alone.
Yeah, Baldy's making use of this free area. He's got, even after the mistake, he's still sticking with it. So yeah, this is only 25% of the way through. McGlade is looking calm, but I should imagine it's not exactly the same behind the helmet, as Johan goes very wide.
And that could give Brugman, not only is that going to give Brugman license to fully attack McGlade, but that's allowed Gogo Baldy in as well. Went for a little late look on Yuyovsky, pulled out at the last minute. But yeah, all of a sudden, again, things looking very good for Enterprise indeed, as we've got to go back to this battle for P6. Or is it P6 even? No, it is
I
Bell.
don't know what it is.
It's P7, it's the Bell train in full effect. Pinches has gained 3 seconds on Bell in the last lap alone.
This is nuts. It would be difficult to call what this is actually a battle for.
Lead. Hawthorns. Brugman looking around the outside of Lewis McGlade. And, is that McGlade going a little bit wide? No, he's able to wrap that up for now. But Brugman is beginning to look.
He's piling the pressure on now. What he's hoping for here is that Lewis makes a mistake, which is ironic considering he is the most experienced driver here.
Oh, Shepard and Bell, contact, and Shepard into the wall.
Big one.
I'm not sure about that one, Shepard at the inside line, but it was again that classic ITC contact model with those cars, and Shepard is out. He joins Frith and Taylor.
We've been seeing contact there frequently this evening. It's not surprising that it's happened eventually. We'll let the DC handle that one, but I think it's semi-clear. It's happened.
Semi-clear, and I tell you what, the biggest benefactor in all of that, Stefan, is Ben Willis.
P9.
P9. Nico Barkley as well, up to P10. They've really capitalised nicely. And Kevin Siggy, big one! And that's Camfield and Muru. And they are into the wall at Paddock Hill.
It's all kicking off now, isn't it? Bloody hell.
Isn't it just? Goodness me.
I love race 3.
And actually, in all of this, Kevin Siggy has not moved from his starting position of P11.
I'm not going to lie, I don't really understand that.
It's the curse of the 90 kilograms in race 3. You're literally bogged down there for the rest of your life in race.
Yeah.
As pinches it through on Butcher as well, further up the road.
Pinch is doing some work. He's going to catch up to the top 4, I reckon, as well. Soon. Oh, Tobias Olsen's had another accident.
The same as that Westfields or Hawthorns? It looks like Hawthorns to me.
Looks like Hawthorns. I wonder what's happened.
Wow, yeah, it's that contact physics yet again. This time with Rob Mason, and Tobias Olsen registers his 2nd retirement in 2 races.
He's not had a great evening, has he, really? It's not been...
It's more to the Olsen of old, because he's been super good this season so far.
Yeah, it is very reminiscent, actually. So hopefully he can get back on form come next round. Oh, Gogo Baldy.
Oh,
having a moment at Paddock.
And that's exactly the same thing that Pinches did earlier. Speaking of Pinches, he's through along with Butcher. And there's such a gap back to Mohammed Patel that Baldy goes into P6. But once again, Stefan, in a comfortable position, fighting for a podium, and he bottles it.
Yeah, this is... it's getting a bit silly now. I don't know if it's because he's pushing too hard. But when you've got that kind of free air, you really shouldn't be making those kind of mistakes. I know Brands is quite a punishing circuit in terms of where the grass is and whatnot, but you really shouldn't be making those kind of mistakes in free air.
Muru and Campfield both confirmed as retirements as well after their contact at Paddock Hill Bend. They are dropping like flies. But someone who is not dropping off is still Lewis McGlade. Lap 7 of 12, and he's been able to fend off the pressure from Niels Brugman. And now, without Baldy behind him, Yuyovsky's been given license to catch up to these top 2.
Yeah, Lewis does not look under pressure at all. What's really good about R52 is the way for some reason it tire smokes everywhere, but you're just not seeing that from Lewis at all. He's very calm and collected. Pinches is catching the hell up as well. He's not... So we could yet see Smile on the podium.
The gap has not extended to more than a second all race long for this lead. And it is a testament to the consistency of Lewis McGlade. It is how he has been such a successful driver over the 5 years of ITC in which he has partaken. He doesn't always have the ultimate speed. In fact, he's never taken a pole position, would you believe it, in the 5 years that he's been here. But what he does do well is score. And he's not at the best start of the season, but these 25 points could be an injection into the arm Lap 8 of 12. McGlade from Brugman, from Yuyovski, from Pinches. That is your battle for the lead. It's then Butcher, all on his own in P5, though the recovering Baldy looking to close in on him. It's Patel versus Richards then in a P8 battle that has calmed down significantly. Barkley 9th. Siggy finally made his way past Ben Willis into P10, though the MG's on the outside of Hawthorns. Surely not going to overtake Kevin Siggy around the outside of Ben Willis. He has a look, but he doesn't quite do it. A little bit of a slide on exit from Siggy, going to keep it from now. Mason, Strana, Bell, and James Wilson rounding out the top 15. Only 20 runners and riders remain.
Oh, seeing James Wilson in the points is fairly pleasing. That's good for him. Ben Willis is making a show of this. The weight on Siggy's car is it's the same thing as Shepherd. It's really, really hurting him here. This is not the track you really want weight on, because it will punish you.
Maybe the 9 kilograms are doing just that to Niels Brugman. 0.6 the gap, and the lap's starting to count down now, and you can sense that Yuyovski knows that he's running out of time, not just in the sense of laps, but also Adam Pinches is right with them.
Yep, completely. This is crunch time now. Lewis will start to feel a bit more position he finds himself in.
Looking further back, Gogo Baldy is right with Chris Butcher as well. Had it not been for that mistake at Paddock Hill, might we have seen Baldy looking to take his second win of the season, almost pushing Butcher around Surtees. The pace is clear to see, Stefan.
It's a shame, because he could have scored so many more points this evening had he just cut out the mistakes a bit. The pace is there.
Sorry, Yuyovski further up the road, trying to muscle his way in through Hawthorn. It was ever so close, but Brugman holds on for now. And finally, that gap has reached over a second. Lewis McGlade, this is the break that he needs, as here comes Adam Pinches now to pile on the pressure for Ski.
This is close. Lewis now will be piecing out. This is exactly what it was these three to start playing.
1.5 seconds. And it could not have happened at a better time either.
No.
Late half of the race.
This is the perfect moment, because his tyres, I suspect, won't be too bad, so he's at least got that availability push. If Adam can get past Johan, I reckon he can have a go at Niels.
Into Paddock Hill, Yuyovski on the inside, Pinches risky around the outside, four-wheel drift again. Not quite as bad as his race 2 moment, but a very not so subtle reminder that he has lost it there before. And Paddock Hill Bend, an unforgiving lady. She will slap you in the face if she does not like what she sees.
That was close. He won't want that again. Imagine his seat will be another shade of brown.
So still, it's very much now becoming the battle for P2, because Brugman simply does not have the pace to keep up with Lewis McGlade behind. Look at Baldy and Butcher going side by side. Baldy going to be on the outside of Hawthorns. I think he's trying to line something up for later on down the road, although look at this. Further along, side by side, going around fully around the outside of Hawthorns. This is going to be a bold move if he gets it done. Still along the outside, sorry, of Westfield. Butcher holds the inside line for now, although he goes a bit wide. He drags Baldy with him and holds on to P5 for now.
That played to Baldy, and you went to back out of that one, because that, again, we could have seen a bridge with Shepherd, but he gave up the ghost right there. So that was good driving for both, and that was brave. We've seen some seriously brave racing tonight. It's been good to watch.
And mostly clean. That's the more important thing, as Baldy now looking to the outside of Clearways, and then the Clark curve almost pushing Butcher onto the home straights. I'm just taking a little gander up at the front. No, there's going to be no change there. So we will look back to Baldy versus Butcher now. Important for Enterprise in the team's championship. They need Baldy to be finishing ahead of Butcher, of which the Englishman stays ahead for now. But Baldy with a nice slingshot down the hill, up into Druids. He's going to try and go clean around the outside, but outbrakes himself just a little.
It's close. This is where the main heat, and this is allowing Matt Richards to catch up as well, to nick some extra little points. So he's going to be watching this with a keen eye as well.
Kevin Siggy's made his way up to P8, Nico Barkley P9, and Ben Willis P10, although he's in a good old scrap with Rob Mason there for the final top 10 position. Strana 12th, Mohammed Patel all the way down to P13 in all of this. And James Wilson, that final point not secure. He does have Bell up ahead of him, but Stefan Ruhr watching brief in P16. The gap has been closed between Brugman and McGlade, but it's really not enough. We're on the penultimate lap, as is Stefan. McGlade, all he has to do is keep it on the black stuff and he'll be home high and dry.
This is where Lewis is at his strongest. He's probably one of the most consistent drivers. I mean, this is an ideal scenario for him. He's got basically one lane to do this. Adam will probably be desperate to get a podium this evening, simply because he's had the pace to do so. So he'll be behind the pressure up. But you're right, Lewis is looking good now. I think if he keeps on the road, it should be his.
Getting scrappy in P5. Matt Richards is well and truly with Gergo Baldi, and there might be one final position to lose for the Hungarian. Thankfully, the slipstream of Chris Butcher to try and utilise, but Rich is going to go around the outside. No, has to save a bit of a snap there as they go down the hill, although it wasn't the best exit from Baldi into Druids. He's got the inside line, again goes a little bit deep. Matt Richards forced to stay behind for now, but you can tell that the Welshman is eager just to pick up another couple of points. Or it's actually, in this particular case, it is 1 point, but one mistake from Butcher and it will be a couple.
Yeah, completely agree. What Matt probably will be waiting on is for these two to get racing in the second half of this lap.
Yeah.
So that's all he needs to do. P7 is not a bad result, all things considered, considering Siggy is still behind him championship-wise, but let's see.
So we are going to go back up to second position because Brugman, this P2, is under a lot of threat. I know it's a similar situation back in P5, but these are the podium places, and it's all allowing Lewis McGlade to maintain that +1 second gap. Everyone makes it through Sheen Curve well enough this time. They're going to make it through Sterling well as well. It's going to be a big drag race to the line to decide the podium order. But ahead of the podium order is this man. He has led from pole position, and he is the winner of the 150th International Touring Cup race. Lewis McGlade takes his first win of the year. Brugman takes home his third podium of the year, with Yoyoski picking up 2 podiums in 2 race 3s. It's Adam Pinch's P4, the one who misses out. Butcher 5th with Baldi 6th. Richards, Siggy, Barkley and Ben Willis rounding out the top 10. What an evening it's been on the other side of the Drake garage. It's Strana 11th with Mason, Patel, Bell and Wilson rounding out the point scorers. The rest of the finishers were Ruolt, Lindberg, Mayer, Servik and Morby. And your retirements from this race were Olsen, Campfield, Muru, Shepherd, Frith and Taylor.
It's a great drive from McGlade. You got to give it to him. He controlled that race really nicely. Whether he was controlling the pace or not, I do not know, but he deserves that rightfully. That was a very consistent drive. Fair play to top 5, 6 as well. Great racing. Go. He really needs to start, getting it together, and he will score loads more points.
It's a much more consistent round than Misano for Baldi. Even though he made mistakes,
yes,
at least he scored consistently, and ultimately that's going to help Enterprise out, no doubt. In fact, out of the top teams, they were the best scorers in that final race. I've got actually, you know what? I've got no idea what the team order is. I'm guessing that ACR has lost the lead to the championship, but to who is anybody's guess, because Siggy's scoring was phenomenal. Patel put in 3-point scores as well. Enterprise scored with both cars in all 3 races. Epic might suffer though, because they had Shepherd, who scored well in races 1 and 2, but not so much in race 3, and Mason was inconsistent as well.
Yeah, you're probably looking at Enterprise and Edge being at the top of the creme de la creme at the moment. I think Jeffrey posted in the YouTube chat what standings were after race 2.
Right.
So we can use that as a gate. So I reckon it's going to be close between Enterprise and Edge.
I have a feeling Edge have. Edge.
Are you going to make a pun?
Yeah, mostly because Siggy took P2, followed up by a win, and yes, Patel scored well in those 2 races as well. Although Enterprise have scored consistently, the scaling of the points means that had Baldi finished in the podium alongside Brugman, already won the race, then okay, I can see Enterprise leading. I think Edge just have it for now, which, rather funnily enough, means that we end our first half of the season, much as we started it, with Edge potentially leading from Enterprise.
Yeah, that's not too far off what we were expecting, really, is it? I think
Edge have outperformed my expectations, not on Siggy's side, but more Patel. Like, he was always a risk going into this because he's not done much touring car racing. And the risk has shown both ways because he's been really good and consistent. Strong showings in Poznan and now here at Brands. But Misano and France were not so hot. And so if he's able to clean up that form for the second half of the year, then they are going to look in very good stead.
Absolutely. I think just need to clean things up a bit and they'll be in good stead, definitely. What a first half of the season we've had.
Absolutely. And I would say that was honestly one of the most entertaining rounds, yet mostly because there was a distinct lack of silliness. Like the one big silly moment I can remember was Taylor's rejoin, honestly.
Yeah, that's literally the only thing I've seen that raises alarm bells, really. But other than that, the racing, if there's been an accident, it's been touch and go, and generally it's been rubbing racing. So no, really a really good evening's worth of racing. All in all, really enjoyed it.
So is that going into... Okay, right. So Edge, so that was going into race 2, was it? Edge on 197, Enterprise on 187. So Edge scored 8 points. They scored roughly like 12 or 13. So they're going to be over 200. I think Enterprise lead the championship.
Ooh.
Because Brugman on his own outscored Siggy and Patel with that P2. Not to mention Baldy picked up P6, so that's 30 points overall.
Yeah.
So I think Enterprise lead.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll look to get final confirmation from Mr. Fournier if he's able to get through. Chris Shepherd, officially game over. I'm not so sure, Chris. I'm really not so sure. This championship has really benefited different teams. And even though there wasn't so much of a clear winner in terms of the teams this time around in Brands, Stefan, honestly, you'd say if Enterprise do go out of round 4 leading the championship, then it's down to their consistency. You would say they were the team of round 4.
Yes. Consistency-wise, Enterprise in general has been fantastic.
Here we go. We've got it.
Have we got it?
We've got it. Enterprise, for the first time this season, lead the team's championship on 217. Edge are 9 points behind on 208, who are 15 points ahead of ACR in third, 4 points ahead of Epic on 189, 11 points ahead of Smile in fifth, 2 points ahead of Red Bull Street Fighter on 176, 6 points ahead of Drake on 170. The top 7 in the championship separated by 47 points. Ladies and gentlemen, that is less than 2 race wins in an evening.
It's crazy, isn't it? It's close going into mid-season, that's for sure.
And I think we've left it close enough now to the interviews without giving these drivers something to say. Let us start with our race 1 winner, I think. Sorry about that. I've realised that you're all having a conversation. Drag you out as our race 1 Shepherd. Very much an evening of descending fortunes, picking up the win in race 1, your second of the evening. Unfortunately, falling a little bit too far down the order in race 2 so that you missed out on reverse grid pole. Do you think that was the real killer of your evening, especially with how race 3 went?
Yeah, definitely. I could have... I held 5th place for so long in race 2, and then I decided to get into a battle with a couple of people, or kind of in a position where you got no choice and you lose a bit of ground, and everyone else has taken a normal preferred racing line, and they just gain so much on you. Yeah, missed it by 1 place.
Yeah. It's always gutting, but at the same time, someone has always got to be there, no matter what the reverse grid number is.
Yeah.
You were saying that you think that it's officially game over, at least for yourself in the Drivers' Championship, but surely there's a bit of hope, given how open the championship has seemingly been over the 4 rounds. I mean, you just got to look at between Misano and Brands Hatch. ACR Zach Speed were leading the champion going out of Misano with a super strong round. Here, they only scored through Chris Butcher, and they didn't even score a podium at that. Oh, actually, Am I lying? No, I'm not lying. There you go. I'm confusing myself.
Well, I suppose I don't know what the points are. I don't know how far we are behind as a team.
I can get that for you. Don't worry.
Okay.
So Epic are on 189, Enterprise lead on 270.
Okay. Well, I suppose how many rounds? It's only a short season. Isn't it? What have we got? 3 rounds left? 4 rounds left?
Half the season left. 4
Okay.
rounds.
All right. Well, I suppose it's still there, but I was unfortunate tonight. We had David that had to drop out last minute, so Rob stepped in last minute. Who done a great job on such short notice, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. We'll just have to see. But the drivers is done. That's a cert. You can't. The season's too short to be having DNFs, especially in race 3 when you're meant to maximise it, having no weight, which I felt I probably could have caught up to the top 5 as well as soon as I got past Mike with half the race to go.
Well, before we let you go, you might be interested to stick around. There's a thank you very much to Jeffrey Fournier, by the way, who's given us now the driver standing. So Siggy leading on 157. He's pulled out a bit of a gap now on Richards to 129, but it is close. Behind him, Butcher 124, yourself, Chris, on 119. Niels Brugman dragging himself into the fray after a strong round, 117. And Baldy, who began the round in P10, is now up to 5th on 100, albeit only 1 point ahead of Pinches. So I would say it is not all over yet, Chris.
Well, I mean, no one wants to finish second. You know, what's the gap? What's the gap between Richards and Siggy?
28 points.
I mean, if I'd have finished that race, I would have been in front of Matt, but we still would have been 20 points behind Siggy, maybe. So even then, he still pulled a gap.
Close margins and gaps are easily dissolved. Chris Shepherd, thank you very much for joining us.
Cheers, mate. Nice one.
And from Chris Shepherd, then, to the man who remains, our championship leader, Kevin Siggy Rebenak. You had a bit of a good one today. P2 in race 1, launched yourself into a second consecutive race 3 win, and even though the race 3 curse for the 90-kilogram weight ballast guy came back to bite you again, ultimately P8 sees you pulling out a gap on P2 in the Drivers' Championship, and Edge are well and truly back in it for the teams as well.
Yeah, I think today was a very good race, position-wise, because we were lacking some of the good positions in the previous races. So today was a pretty good race for the whole team, getting all the points and getting some wins, extending the championship, and even closing up in the team standings, which was amazing. The car felt great, and I think it was just a matter of time. I needed to stay safe behind the people in front of me, because I knew that I wouldn't have been able to pass them in the straight because of all that weight, but it ended up well. The car behaved very, very, very fast.
It's fair to say that the Subaru wasn't the most popular of choices. In fact, referencing back to Division 2, nobody selected the Subaru. I feel like you guys have been proving people wrong. You've been scoring consistently. You yourself, you've picked up 3 race wins now. You're leading the championship. However, round 5 is Zhuhai, and Zhuhai is straight dominated. Do you feel it's going to be damage limitation there for you guys?
Oh yeah, definitely, because I am probably starting last because I made an error in qualifying. So that will of course be one thing to remember. And yeah, I think it's just damage limitation, because on the straights with all that weight, it's really stupid. The car just does not go anywhere, and with its gearing as well. So we'll see what happens.
So we could have P1 and P2 in the championship starting at the back of the grid in Zhuhai. That could be juicy. Kevin Siggy Rebenak, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
And speaking of, actually, you know what? No, let's go to our race 3 winner next. I did see Matt Richards there, and we might draw him in as a championship protagonist, but we have to celebrate. Race 150 in the United Kingdom. We have a United Kingdom winner, but maybe not the one that you're expecting. Lewis McGlade, you've picked up your 3rd race win in your career, which now spans 147 races. You must be feeling old.
Yeah, I'm getting there, mate. I've been in this game a fair amount. Pretty good race to pick up, though, not going to lie. I'm chuffed with that one. Special livery on the car and all that.
Which looks suspiciously like the YDF1 this year as well. It was very confusing.
I'm sure I could appreciate that, but it's just the raw colours. You know that, Jamesy.
Of course. And actually for yourself, I feel it's an even more impressive race win by the fact that for the first 75% of that race, Niels Brugman wasn't letting you have any quarter. The gap did not extend past the second, but then surely once you saw that battle between himself, Yayovsky, Pinches really kick off, when you gain that that gap to over a second, to 1.5 even at one, did you feel that you had it in the bag then?
No, never. Not around this track, because it's around that GP leap. It is so easy to make a mistake, so you can't get complacent at any moment. I mean, Niels, when we were racing, it was pretty tight. It was clean. It was good racing. I made an aggressive chop, I guess, coming out of the final corner, which I do apologise for. It was a little bit much, but I was pushing as hard as I could for the race win. And I respect Niels a lot as a driver, and I kind of feel that respect is kind of shared. And so I wasn't ever expecting to sort of like have a dive bomb from 6.5 kilometers back. But yeah, as soon as I got that gap, I was just like, just keep focused. And I kept having to tell myself, I was just like, focus, focus, focus. Don't let it slip. Hit the apexes. Don't be an idiot.
Now, we do have to reflect on what has been 5 very long years for the ITC. Do you think that the grid is as strong as it has ever been? Because especially looking at yourself and perhaps not had the start that you've wanted this season.
Oh yeah, the season presently, and I feel some people might disagree. I feel most people won't. The field, when it comes to driver caliber, is higher than it's ever been at ITC. Like when you look around, the first round of the season, even now, you look around, it's champions. There's a champion. There's champions here, champions there. One champion leaves, being Keith leaves, instantly replaced by an FC champion.
Yeah.
Like everyone's got that pedigree and that knowledge to know how to win a championship if they're put in the right position. So the quality of the field is incredibly high. It's a shame that on quite a lot of the races this season, the racecraft hasn't matched the talent pool. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if you want to get pole position in this, your lap has to be absolutely spot on. Perfect. Even in a Super Bowl session, it cannot be one of those sort of 75% laps or I hope for the best. It's got to be on the limit. And that's impressive. That shows the quality of the field there.
Or you can do what Matt Richards did today, which is cut the track and take a 20-place grid penalty for next round.
But it was brief, though, wasn't it? It was such brief. A small excursion, maybe.
It's true. We'll wait and see what the DC say. Lewis, it's always a pleasure, mate, and well done on your... Right, and I think we will end our interviews with the aforementioned Matt Richards. Good, we've not caught you in the middle of conversation. Matt, we were just having a little bit of banter about the pole position situation, how you think that it's likely that you're going to be taking a 20-place grid penalty for next round. But overall, when it comes to the racing, another solid day at the office, more good points on the board, and I guess a little bit unlucky that Kevin's such fine form today.
Like it's a guarantee I'll get a 20 place. I've gone back, checked it. I was clearly over it. It's not like there's going to be a possible little bit of contact patch on the line. It's clear cut. And me and Ben were talking about it, and we came to the conclusion it's better because of the track that we were at, it was better to keep the position and take the 20 place at Zhuhai, which looks like it's going to be pretty overtake happy, than drop the lap, be at the back of a track that's not greatly easy and you've got to be very brave to make moves at. So, I mean, it was sort of a clear decision for us. I mean, I needed as many points as possible. The round went well, I guess. I want to look back on race 1. I know I was being very brave, but I do want to look back on it. Mm-hmm. Race 2, I think Kevin maybe got a little bit lucky with Gergo holding everyone up. I think there was a good gap once Gergo started battling with all of us. And that just sort of helped him get away. So by the time Gergo spun, I didn't have a lot of chance. There wasn't that much of a weight difference so I could catch back up. So that's just how it goes. Race 3 was fun, interesting. I'll have to look back at lap 1. There was something happened with the sideways Adonis. I don't know which one. Suddenly appeared in front of me and then speared off to the other side. But the rest of the race was pretty fun. I mean, the pace is there. I'm feeling a lot better than I did after Misano. So it's just looking forward, really. I mean, there's a 28, 29 point gap between me and Kevin at the moment, but there's still 300 points on the board. So as much as the pessimist in me is going, yeah, he's going to just sort of keep that 29 gap now, there's also a bit of optimism that there's 300 points to play. He could have a bad round. We've both got bogs for bogs 20 place, whichever one it is, for Zhuhai. So we're going to be starting very similar places. So if I can make places up in race 1 and he gets stuck, I think it's quite a straight line track. So it's going to be more front wheel drive tailored. So that might also help. And that also swayed the decision of keeping the pole lap as well. Was knowing that Kevin would also get 20 places and being the guy up front, that's the guy to aim for, really. I mean, definitely can't count out even Neil's back in 5th. I mean, like I said, 300 points is still wide open, so we'll see.
See, that's the sort of positivity I've been looking for all interview session. And let's keep the positivity rolling, shall we, as well? A quick word on Ben Willis, who not just scored his first points of the season, but scored 3 points finishes consecutively, his best one being in race 3. What a great event for him after a week off in Misano. No, and I guess that's it.
Sorry, you cut out. I didn't know whether you were asking me anything or.
I was just saying it's nice that he's been able to basically pick off where Parker started in Misano.
Yeah, I mean, Misano was a bit of a shocker for us. Well, I wouldn't say a shocker. Ben wasn't feeling comfortable with the car, and I don't think that he could race. So we managed to get Parker in after some issues, but we got him in. And I think for the last 2 weeks we have just been solid practice runs and trying to make the car a lot more comfortable. The problem that we're finding is that we're doing a lot of development on the setup, and we'll change one thing which fixes something, and then what we've changed makes something else go wrong. Like, I don't know whether it was quite evident on the broadcast, was that for the whole of tonight I was carrying an issue where I use a lot of rear end rotation on the car. So sometimes I'd turn into the corner and the car would be fine. Other times I'd turn into the corner and the rear would just go. So in changing one thing to make the car more comfortable under brakes, a bit better under turning, we also then had the sacrifice of sometimes we could turn in and try and undercut someone and the back end goes. So, I mean, like I said at round 1, there's improvements to be made. We're always working on it. We're trying to move forward. We are picking up pace. So hopefully towards the end of the season, we can keep that upward climb. Siggy's not unreachable. The teams, I think we're only 6 points behind 6th and 8 points behind 5th. So we are starting to climb there as well. I mean, Epic have had a slightly bad round with Chris's issues. So there's always possibilities. I mean, it's ITC. Anything can happen, right?
Exactly right. We're going to finish it up there. Matt Richards, thank you very much for your words.
No problem.
Thank you very much. And it's going to be a fascinating Zhuhai, isn't it? The 2 championship leaders, unless there's a curveball, Stefan, are going to be starting near enough the back of the grid potentially. That promises to be one of the most interesting scenarios we've had all season.
Yeah, it's weird knowing that that's going to happen, but it you know what, it adds some spice to that drama, doesn't it? And that's what we.
It could still be a 4th pole position for Matt Richards, though. We will wait and see. In the meantime, next week, remember the career ladder returns. Formula Challenge on the Tuesday, Super Cup on the Wednesday, and the WTF1 Super League on the Thursday. Be sure to mark down 2 weeks from today on your calendars as we return with the outside of Europe part of our season. We're heading over to Asia first of all before we travel on over to the Americas, and we begin our second half in Zhuhai, China, a track which is going to be probably the Monza of our calendar, I would say. Plenty of straights, and as Matt was saying, could be very overtake happy. That's all from us then. A big thank you from Mr. Argo Tida, the man bringing you the pretty pictures. A big thank you to Mr. Stefan McCready, the banter wizard that he is. I have been James Kirk, and from all of us here, it is a very warm goodbye.